highest paid player in the Prem. He'd averaged almost 1 goal every 2 games for the Gunners, but in his 45 games for Man United, he only managed 5 goals. Not what you want from a star striker. Next up, Radamel Falcao. He earned himself the nickname the Tiger for his sheer efficiency and the way he used to pounce upon the mistakes of defenders. But at Man United, he was way more pussycat than Tiger, to be honest. All he managed in 29 Man United games was 4 goals. Moving on, things couldn't have gone much worse for Jadon Sancho at Man United. Yeah, it would have been hard to outdo his Borussia Dortmund form, but 12 goals in 83 games is not great. Things got worse after a public fallout with manager Erik ten Hag. Sancho said he was being made a scapegoat. Ten Hag said there'd been a discipline issue. It all ended up with Sancho going back to Germany. Next, Erik ten Hag probably thought he was being smart in sticking to what he knew when he signed Antony from his former club Ajax. But the £86 million Brazilian hasn't really been able to hack it in the Prem. Chances are Antony's Man United days are numbered. Next, the curse of the Man United number 7 shirt. Not an easy act following Ronaldo, Cantona, Beckham and George Best, but Memphis Depay was another striker who was apparently allergic to scoring for United. He scored just 7 in 53 appearances, a huge letdown since he'd helped PSV win the Dutch league just a season before joining. Last one, Angel Di Maria was set to be United's landmark signing when he joined in 2014, but 1 season later he was already on his way out. 4 goals in 32 games was just not good enough, given he'd broken the British record transfer fee when he signed. And those are just a few examples. To be honest, the list could go on and on. Unfortunately, that's probably why Man United haven't won the Prem for a while, and why it might take a few more years before they're in contention again.
Good afternoon, welcome to the Sunday session on talkSPORT. I'm Ben Fletcher and I'm delighted to be alongside former Arsenal double title winner Perry Groves. We've got all your favourite features coming up, including Sounds of the Weekend, Smiles, Stranger Things, Stataface and Men in Black. But we start at Royal Portrush, where the leaders will be teeing off over the next 20-30 minutes. Sean O'Brien.
Yes, world number 1 Scotty Scheffler leads the Open by 4 shots, and it's all eyes on the first tee. Tyrrell Hatton just teed off alongside Xander Schauffele. Hatton's within 6. Rory McIlroy will try and stage a miracle alongside Matt Fitzpatrick at 220. Rory's 6 back and Fitzy is within 5. Then at half 2, it's Scheffler and China's Haotong Li, who is 4 shots back on 10 under. So the stage is set and it's live on talkSPORT 2.
We've also got action at the World Match Play Darts with Ian Danter.
And a cracker opening up here as the number 7 seed Damon Heta is 8-all with Goldfinger Andrew Goulding. It's a race to 10, so if they both win their next legs, we go to a sudden death where somebody has to win by 2 clear legs to go through to round 2. Remember, we've already had Luke Humphries, the reigning champion, and Nathan Aspinall both go out last night. All the action is live right now on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel.
Loads going on as ever, all on the Sunday session here on talkSPORT. 03717 223344. If you want to give us a call, you can send us a WhatsApp or a WhatsApp voice note. Now, this morning, talkSPORT learned the sad news that our golf correspondent in America, and most importantly, our friend Bob Bubka, had passed away. Bob was a titan of this radio station with his iconic voice, which brought joy to millions.
Radio is about voices, and there is no doubt when you heard Bob Bubka speak, it just grabbed you.
But I've been coming to the Masters a long time, and I have not seen what I have witnessed here today. Shane Lowry steps up, bang, in the cup for a hole-in-one. Then along a couple of groups later, Davis Love, 52 years old, bang, in the hole for a hole-in-one. Wow. 3 hole-in-ones in the last hour here at the par 3 16. Jess when you think you have seen it all.
His distinctive American tones enthralled and entertained talkSPORT listeners for over 25 years.
This is Bob Bubka with a special message for all you golf fans out there. The Ryder Cup is live right now on talkSPORT 2.
His love of the game of golf shone through, coupled with a cheeky, almost rebellious element, made him not only a delight to listen to, but in my case, to work with, as he started out as a car salesman. But a few slots on American local radio led to expanding it to a full-time career. Bob was unashamedly biased when it came to Tiger Woods. In awe of his achievements, Tiger always seemed to search him out, to say hello.
And now a moment that'll go down in history. Tiger Woods wins the 2019 Masters, and is he elated? This is an epic victory that will not be forgotten.
But what he also loved was the interaction with talkSPORT listeners. And I know in the end, being part of the talkSPORT family was so important to him as he struggled with ill health. But even when physically frail, that voice never faltered.
There was not a dry eye in the house. Both hit good drives. This Masters is underway.
Covering the majors will never be the same without that extraordinary voice drawing us in to the magnificent sport of golf. Bob, we'll miss you.
Lovely words from talkSPORT's Rupert Bell. Thank you for your tweets. I'm inundated at Ben A. Fletcher. People want to remember Bob Bubka, the voice of golf, not just for talkSPORT, but across the world. Kev Pender's been in touch. I'm not a fan of golf at all, but the man had an unmistakably unique voice that compelled you to listen, a true loss to broadcasting. James Smith, I remember his distinctive voice covering golf for talkSPORT back in the day. Really smooth and relaxed. Perry, a very good afternoon to you. And that just sums up the man, doesn't it? Bob Bubka, an icon as far as this network is concerned.
Yeah, very much so. And warmth, you know, his voice, that's what it came through the airways. And every time I spoke to him, I never met him personally, but when I spoke to him, I felt like I knew him, and I felt like I wanted him as my friend.
Yeah.
And obviously unbelievably knowledgeable, but I think when it alluded to there with the relationship with Tiger Woods and all of the players, I think it was the trust. I think the players trusted him.
Yes.
Because they knew that even if he was being critical, which Bob quite rightly could be, because that, you know, that's his job report on the golf, it would always be constructive. You know, I mean, it wasn't done on a sort of personal basis. And I think it was Kev Pender who said there, who just tweeted in and said he didn't know anything about golf or didn't follow golf, but when you heard Bob Bubka speak, you wanted to know about golf.
Of course. And
you thought you knew about golf. You know, and he was just a friend to everybody, and he got the shows. Like, even, you know, when you introduced him, he'd been listening to what had gone on before, and you know, he'd get into the context of the show that you're doing. You know,
absolutely.
So the icon is probably the right word, and it's probably quite fitting that he passed away on the last final day of the Open, which was his favourite major.
It was, because
it, you know, he was very ill towards the end, but he made the effort to go to St Andrews, didn't he, to make sure, because that he knew that's where obviously golf started, and you know, the history. So he will be sadly missed, but never ever be forgotten. Ever.
Very, very fondly remembered, and some of his most iconic lines or his opening gambit many a time across the talkSPORT network was "Hey, Paul and Andy" in that unmistakable American accent. And I'm delighted to say a very good afternoon to talkSPORT afternoon presenter Paul Hawksby. Paul, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I wish I was speaking to you under happier circumstances, but I know you'd want to have your say and remember Bob in only the way that you could.
Yeah, hi Fletch. Hi Perry. Yeah, it was really sad news this morning. It's as you were saying, Fletcher, we know he'd not been well recently. And funny enough, he popped into the talkSPORT office, it's almost like 3 years ago to the day, obviously around the Open. And he wasn't particularly mobile at the time. And he was chatting to everybody there. And, you know, the spirit was still there. He was struggling, especially physically. But we had a little hug when he left the office. And I think all of us realised we weren't going to see him in person again. The trips were getting just too much for him, but he continued to broadcast remotely and continued to broadcast for talkSPORT. And I mean, we had like 20, nearly 25 years of chatting to him. I discovered today how he got involved with talkSPORT. I had absolutely no idea. It was Paul Breen Turner, our former drive time presenter and Spanish correspondent. PBT had worked in this golf tournament in Madrid with him, and he wasn't really a golf, he was more a football man, and he was blagging his way through it. And Bob sort of took him under his wing, realised he was struggling a little bit, and kind of helped him through the process, and he was very grateful for that. But he realised there that sort of Bob knew everybody, knew all the players, and all the players were willing to chat to him. So it was PBT actually who said to talkSPORT, look, you should maybe get in touch with this guy. He's well connected. And I'll tell you what he did. I mean, I know it's hard to believe when you look at all the incredible events. Incredible events we're able to put on these days at talkSPORT. And there was a time when our coverage was a little bit budget back in the day, as you may well remember,
100%.
and a little bit shonky at times.
On the fly, Paul, was it?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
But I mean, but Bob instantly gave it credibility and personality, and our golf coverage really from the off. And that relationship with Rupert Bell was key. It really was. We used to play the Odd Couple music now and again when they came on, because they would often be sharing digs. Again, it was a bit budget at times when they were working together. And I remember once, it must have been the Open they were doing, when they stayed together in a container. Basically, they basically roomed in an old metal container for about 4 or 5 days, and we'd get all the war stories from behind the scenes of what had been going on and what Bob had been up to and what Rupert was up to, and it gave it real personality, and I think that was one of the keys with Bob. That and his contacts.
Sure.
I mean, they were touching on Tiger Woods there and how well he knew him. There's that clip we often play where he's just interviewed him. He says, "Hey, thanks, Bobby," after they've done the chat. And when Bob was struggling physically, Janice, we really feel for today, because she was absolutely dedicated to Bob, his producer. She said to Tiger, "Look, Bob can't come to you, but he'd love to talk to you." And Tiger went out of his way to go and find Bob. So I think it was a real mark of the respect that he had in golf.
Also, Paul, you said there about respect, that comes with trust. And every time that you heard Bob's voice, it made you smile. It made you smile, actually physically smile, and it gives you a smile and a warmth inside.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not just one of the, we've been saying the voice of golf, which he was, but it's one of the great sporting voices, I think. It was so recognisable and so iconic. And that was a good point you were making there, Perry. What he would do, he would listen. It must have been an old broadcast trick from the States. I'm sure it's in a guidebook, a broadcasting guidebook, but listen to what's happening on the output. So when you join the conversation, you can bring something to it. And Fletcher will tell you in the office, we used to sort of joke about how Bob would always pick up on the last conversation.
Absolutely.
Whatever the last conversation was, even if it was talking about non-league football, Bob would find a way to link it to something, to golf. And it was a real art. We'll massively miss him. As I said, we spoke to him a couple of months ago, and he was clearly struggling. He wanted to keep broadcasting, and he was really, it was really struggling to kind of keep it together. But the voice, as Rupert said in that little obituary there, the voice was still as strong as ever, and the spirit was still there.
It was, absolutely. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. I know you'll be back with Andy tomorrow afternoon, and you'll want to pay your respects in your own way. Paul's absolutely right, by the way. With Bob Bubka, it became a bit of a daily laughing point between Hawksby Jacobs and I, because you could be talking about Premier League football, non-league football, rugby, and he'd try and insert part of that conversation into his update. And if you'll forgive me for imitating the great man's voice, it would be, well, I heard you talking about Bolton Wanderers sliding down the Premier League there. One man sliding down the leaderboard here at Royal Sawgrass, Justin Rose. So even in that, not knowing much about golf, he tried and make it into a subject that you would understand, and there came the warmth, there came the trust. We talk about the voice of sport, the voice of golf. He was the voice of the summer for me. And that goes back over a 17-year period working at talkSPORT. You heard Bob's voice, you knew that good weather was coming, even if you weren't a huge golf fan.
Do you know what as well is, when you listen to him and all of a sudden you just pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, when he's on the radio, you listen to that voice, you pay attention.
100%.
But he was someone that you want him to be your mate.
Yeah.
You know, he sounded like, obviously, he was unbelievably brilliant at his job, unbelievably professional, analogies into the shows he's come into. But when you listen to the stories of off-air, when they, you know, go out and so debrief and, you know, restock and refuel, just a very, very brilliant character. So, we're all very, very sad today.
Yeah.
But as time goes by, then when you mention Bob Bubka or you hear his voice, you will automatically smile.
Yeah.
And like you there, Fletcher, I've just said his voice, and you've got like a little twinkle, a little sparkle in your eye, and it'll
100%.
make you feel warm inside.
And he always will. Listen, let's cross now to Royal Portrush and speak with Sean O'Brien, who's updating us on the final round of the Open. Sean, good afternoon. Before we speak about today's play, you've written a lovely article for talkSPORT.com about your former friend, your colleague. We've lost one of the icons of the station today, haven't we?
We have indeed, and I'll just echo what you guys said. He really was a cherished part of our family, not only on the golf team, but at talkSPORT and in the wider world of sports broadcasting as well. He really was golfing royalty. He kind of managed to transcend and become part of the fabric of the game. And I know he meant a lot to you guys. He meant a lot to me as well. I first met him at the Open in 2022, and he left a real impression on me. Everyone will talk about that voice, and it was one of the greatest radio voices ever. But I'll always remember this one interaction we had over dinner. He was 80 years old. He's struggling with health issues, and I asked him why he doesn't just sail into the sunset and call it a job well done, because if anyone deserved to do that, it would have been him. And I said, Bob, you could spend every day on the beach. And he turned to me and he said, Sean, this is my beach. And golf was his life, and that's why Tiger Woods respected him so much. That's why Jack Nicklaus called him a friend, and that's why the talkSPORT listeners loved him so much. I mean, the outpouring of emotion on social media, people reflecting on how comforting it was just to hear him greet Paul and Andy, and I think that's his legacy. His voice just made people happy, and you felt like his friend even if you never met him. And I've seen people saying they're not even fans of golf, but they were fans of Bob, and I know that connection with the listeners just meant the world to him, and I felt blessed to be around it. It really kind of changed my perspective on how lucky we are to do this, and the fact that he passed during golf's greatest championship with its greatest player, an American, at the top of the leaderboard, that really isn't lost on anyone here at Portrush. So our thoughts go out to his family and friends, and his partner Janice, who is a valued part of our golf team here at talkSPORT as well. And yeah, I've written a tribute over on talkSPORT.com, which doesn't quite do justice to the phenomenon that he was. But yeah, we'll miss you, Bob.
Sean, it's a great article, and thank you for those lovely words. Tell us what's happening out on the course currently. Scheffler's still way out in front.
Yeah, he leads by 4, and Bob would have loved this. He always had a soft spot for Rory McIlroy, and Rory's not out of this just yet at 6 under. He's just walking over to the first tee, and there's a real buzz in the air. The fans here still believe he can do something special. So he tees off in a few moments' time on 8 under, and Bob loved greatness as well, and Scotty Scheffler is looking to become one of the greats. He leads on 14 under par, 4 shots ahead of Hao Tong Lee, and it would be a massive shock if Scheffler didn't win today. He's won the last 9 times he's had the 54-hole lead, and this is the best golfer in the world. The weather's perfect for it as well, so we're expecting a Scheffler procession, but Rory might have something to say about that. They all tee off shortly, and it's live over on talkSPORT 2.
Ron, you mentioned there the weather's perfect at the moment. I was there 2 weeks ago, and I was lucky enough to see how they got the Portrush golf course ready. You know, the magnificence and the size of it, you can't imagine it until you actually see it. But what is the weather like for the rest of the day? Because, say, I was there 2 weeks ago, and it's, shall we say, very changeable.
Changeable, unpredictable. I don't know who would be a weather person in Northern Ireland, especially on the
toss of a coin, isn't it?
Because it really is, and storms can just blow in an instant, as we saw in the first 2 days. But everything points towards a fair weather day, which I think is a little bit of a shame, because I think one of the main obstacles for Scheffler would have been the conditions, and with the weather set so fair, I mean, even if Rory goes out and shoots something incredible here, like a 10 under 61, I think Scheffler will still kind of go low as well, because it's pretty nice out there. So yeah, it's an incredible scene. The pictures are just incredible at Portrush in this weather, and yeah, it will take something special to stop Scotty today.
Sean, thank you very much indeed for that. For the time being, we'll be with you throughout the afternoon here on talkSPORT, and live commentary of the 153rd Open continues over on talkSPORT 2. West Ham Wayne's been in touch on the text 81089. Just heard about Bob's passing. Gutted, absolutely gutted. Loved his voice for years. What an absolute legend, West Ham Wayne. And Steve in Wincham, not a golf fan but loved Bob. Sadly missed RIP. If you want to send in your tributes, please do so. 03717 223344 on the WhatsApp. Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note if you know how. For now, we continue to remember our golf correspondent and friend Bob Bubka, who's passed away at the age of 83. Bob always used to sign off on talkSPORT with his name and which competition he was reporting on. So to that end, we say Bob Bubka, the master, talkSPORT.
Sounds of the weekend.
This is a journey into sound.
On talkSPORT.
Production on that, by the way. You're listening to the Sunday Session with me, Ben Fletcher, and former Arsenal winger Perry Groves. This is Sounds of the Weekend, where Perry and I bring you some of the best stories from across the sporting globe, and you, the lovely listener, can send in songs via text on 81089 or 03717 223344 on WhatsApp to match the stories. Our first Sounds is all thanks to the front of the Sun today, Mr. Harry Redknapp, the king of the jungle and the jam roly-poly legend himself. He now wants to go back in to I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Can you believe that? The former Spurs, West Ham and Portsmouth boss, the England manager we never had, who won the whole thing back in 2018, reckons he'd be up for another round with the creepy crawlies. Apart from being as mad as a box of frogs, Perry, what do you have for this one in the way of songs?
Let's go back in. It's supposed to be the I'm Celebrity All-Stars.
Yeah.
But aren't they All-Stars when they do normal I'm Celebrity anyway?
Exactly.
Exactly. You think, oh no, he was rubbish, she was rubbish, she was good. You just got all the ones who actually have a personality and get more back together
again. It's like the Cup Winners' Cup at the Champions League, isn't
exactly,
it? Sort of the winners' enclosure, something like that.
So I've got Hurry Up Harry, Sham 69, Return of the Mac,
Very
Mark
nice.
Morrison, and this is one for the teenagers, Jungle Rock, Hank Mizell.
Oh, very nice.
That is proper 70s.
That's right. We share a passion for soul music, don't we?
Yes.
So maybe some people will send in
a bit of Northern Soul.
Bit of Northern Soul, absolutely.
Get the lino down, get the talc on it.
You better believe it's talcum time. We haven't got very long, so we'll have to carry on that particular conversation later on, but I'm dying to. Story number 2 today, Donald Trump made headlines at the Club World Cup final on Sunday, not just for his shenanigans during the trophy lift, which I thought were hilarious, by the way, but because he actually pocketed a winner's medal. The president on hand at the MetLife Stadium to watch Chelsea cruise past PSG 3-0 and lift the trophy. But after the match, he joined FIFA chief Gianni Infantino for medal presenting duties, and he kept a souvenir for himself. And what's he going to do with it? Stick it on eBay? He can't leave the cash,
But
surely.
has he not got I don't think it's a replica of the actual trophy. He's got the real one, and then they took the replica because it was in the White House, wasn't it? It's in the Oval Office. And he said, I quite like that one, I'll have one of them. But it was in plain, it didn't actually, it wasn't like Fagin, was it? He just went, I'll have one.
I'll just take one, yeah. Do you reckon he wears it?
It's superb. And it was Reece James's face looking at him thinking, what are you doing, mate?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I ain't going anywhere.
And after Cole Palmer as well, looking as if to say what he's doing.
What is he doing here?
The leader of the free world's a Chelsea fan. I'd be rejoicing if it were me. Anyway, from
For you, Steelers will.
my Steelers will.
The Riddle, Nick Kershaw.
Very nice.
And Shine, Take That.
Very nice indeed. If you want to get involved, please do so. 810 89 03 717 22 33 44 on the WhatsApp. You can drop me a tweet if you like at Ben A. Fletcher. That was our Sounds of the Weekend. Remember to get involved on those numbers. Now we're going to turn our attention to the big transfer news of the day. And Liverpool have got their man in Ekitike. A deal's in place with Eintracht Frankfurt for the signing of the 23-year-old striker. A fee of over 90 million euros has been quoted. Could potentially reach 95 million through add-ons. He'll sign a 6-year contract, Ekitike, which will be valid until 2031. 15 goals in 33 games in the Bundesliga last season, Perry. Just 3 in 26 in Ligue 1 for PSG. It feels like a lot of money for those sorts of stats.
Yeah, but PSG, when he goes and he's with Mbappe, isn't he, with Neymar, with Messi, so I think that he was too young for that move, you know, for the magnitude of the club that it is. Now he's 23, so he's had that season in the Bundesliga with Eintracht Frankfurt, getting his 15 goals in 33 games. It's an upgrade on Nunes, whichever way you look at it. You know what I mean? So 78 million, there's potential there. Obviously, Arne Slot is brilliant at improving players individually. And obviously, as they say, like for an uncapped player, he's waiting to be capped by France.
Yeah.
But he can play for Cameroon.
Of course.
So it'll be like this season, if he doesn't get the French call up, then he'll probably go and play for Cameroon. So that's his choice. He would have been capped, obviously, beforehand.
Of course.
But Liverpool are channeling, and it, you know, obviously being a gooner, I don't want to sign anybody.
Yeah.
But they're channeling their inner Sir Alex Ferguson, whereby every time that Manchester United won the title, they had a massive, not a massive rebirth, they had a bit of evolution where they got rid of free players, but brought in free players that go into the start, not squad players,
superstars,
but into the starting 11. So look, Kirkes is coming in, upgrade on Robertson. Wirtz comes in. Obviously, he'll play in like 10 position or, you know, in a little bit wider. And Ekitike, as I said, is an upgrade on Nunes. And they'll give you a name fact about Ekitike.
Oh, go on.
His surname reads the same forwards as it does backwards.
Oh, it does. There's a word for that.
You didn't even look at it.
Is that a palindrome? I don't need to. I trust you.
Top chump me.
Yeah.
Loving your work.
Is it a palindrome? I'm pretty sure I've got that right.
Don't doubt yourself.
500,000 people will tell me if I haven't. Don't worry about that. You mentioned the lack of cap so far, but it's a matter of time, isn't it? It's going into a Liverpool side, defending champions. And what I like about this move is, and the way Liverpool went about the move, Newcastle fans, and I believe our producer Ollie is one of them, they'll be particularly unhappy about this because it seemed, for all intents and purposes, he was on his way to St James's Park, or Alexander Isak was part of this weird game of chess that Liverpool were playing. Not only have they strengthened massively in bringing Ekitike to Anfield, or about to be, they've weakened one of their Champions League rivals. Yeah,
but also from Newcastle's point of view, we spoke about it last week. Ekitike, I don't think was ever going to play up front with Isak. No. So if you're a Newcastle fan, I think you'll be a bit more relieved thinking we got more chance of Isak staying than what it was going if Ekitike signs, because they basically, Ekitike is basically a clone of Isak. Very similar. Holds the ball up well, moves laterally really well across the lines, likes to get in behind, can go in the wide areas, is good with the ball coming in, good in the air. So we'll talk about the Isak thing later on, which is still a little bit strange, everything that's going on around that. But say Newcastle fans, I don't think they'd be too concerned that he wasn't going there. They'd be more interested in, obviously, Isak staying.
Yeah.
But from Liverpool fans' point of view, it's like we're back and we're proper serious. That they're going to try and have a dynasty now, you know, and this is going to be Arne Slot's, like, his team now. This is his team. He's Mark. Made a few little alterations last season just in the style of play, you know, wasn't as mayhem as under Jurgen Klopp. But now this is his team, but then that brings its extra pressures.
And well, I was going to ask you how much of a risk is it from Arne Slot, but you've really just sort of sold him to me. And ultimately, this is a manager who's got a Premier League title under his belt already, who's dealt very, very well and shown himself as a club statesman really in recent weeks with the tragedy which we all know about up at Anfield, and looking to defend a title. And it was Sir Alex Ferguson who said, "I want to knock Liverpool off their perch." And it looks to me like Liverpool, and all the off-the-field stuff that's going on with City in particular, they're about to knock all their other rivals off the perch. So you're right, it does feel like we're maybe entering the early 90s, and Liverpool have become, as much as they'll hate me for saying this, the new Manchester United.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, knocking Manchester off their perch, Man United ain't even in the cage. They're not even the same budgie cage as what they are. They've got to open the door first, get themselves back in the cage and have a little flap around and see if they can get on their perch before getting knocked off. So they're not in the equation. The title's going to be between Liverpool, Arsenal and Man City, and Chelsea. Very, very sort of long outsiders.
We'll come on to that because my view differs slightly on Chelsea. It's a big question mark as to whether or not you think they're going to crash and burn in December when their legs start to get tired.
Don't hit me with tired word. Don't hit me with tired word. I'm not having it. Don't hit me with tired word. If they're that tired, go and get a proper job.
Well, like this one, you mean? Perry, thanks very much indeed for the time being. Let's get back to Royal Portrush and get the very latest on the final day of the Open. Sean O'Brien, what's the latest?
Yeah, Rory McIlroy has an outside chance for birdie at the first. Hold a long one here yesterday, and the ovation he got on the first tee was quite incredible. If he can make a fast start today, Scotty Scheffler will know about it. The world number one leads on 14 under par, 4 shots in front of China's Hao Tong Li, and he's just about to hit his opening tee shot. England's Tyrrell Hatton did make a fast start, birdied the first to get within 5, but then gave it straight back at the par 5 second, and that opening tee shot from Scotty Scheffler has gone a little bit left. He's in the first cut. That'll be okay. So he's underway, and it's live on talkSPORT 2.
The Open Update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Build your own car deal, all with a few clicks.
You're listening to the Sunday session here on talkSPORT. Next, we'll be crossing to our Lionesses reporter, Courtney Sweetman-Cack, who has some serious news coming out of the England camp.
Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know, here's the tale. Tennis has its roots in 12th century France when people used to make balls from all sorts. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur and even human hair. Uniformity was found centuries later when people started making balls out of something called vulcanized rubber, invented in the US. But the balls kept on breaking, So a British lawyer, who also loved tennis, suggested they put a flannel covering on the outside, and thus the tennis ball as we know it was born. One problem, it was either white or black. And when the controller of BBC Two, Sir David Attenborough, decided Wimbledon would be shown in colour on the BBC in 1967, no one could actually see the balls on telly. So the International Tennis Federation went away and created a new colour called Optic Yellow, which would show up without the need for a 4K LED display. Not that anyone had that in the 1960s, of course. Since then, all tennis balls have been covered in that material and have their trademark colour for that exact reason. Amateur tennis players and dogs worldwide are forever grateful. You could say the ITF aced it.
Very good afternoon. The man's right. It is the Sunday session with me, Ben Fletcher, and former Arsenal winger, double title winner with Arsenal. That's a rare phrase these days. Perry Groves is alongside me. You come dressed for the Open.
You give one hand and take away with the other.
I was about to say you're looking great, dressed for the golf.
Well, I could never outdress you.
Well, one does
you
one's best.
You are the living embodiment of Mr. Ben.
There's a thought, yeah. But I chose this one, the man of 1,000 voices, and this is the one he ended up with. Perry, thanks very much indeed for the time being. We're going to turn our attention to the Lionesses camp now, head out to Switzerland, and turn our attention to a very, very serious matter, actually. Good afternoon to talkSPORT Lionesses correspondent, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Courtney, thank you for joining us. We'll chat about their Tuesday night semi-final in a moment. But first of all, Jess Carter has released a statement this afternoon detailing some of the terrible things, really appalling things she's had to put up with on social media this week. Fill us in.
Yeah, she has. I'm going to read it out to you first and foremost. So, Jess writes, a message to the fans. From the start of the tournament, I have experienced a lot of racial abuse. Whilst I feel every fan is entitled to their opinion on performance and result, I don't agree or think it's okay to target someone's appearance or race. As a result of this, I will be taking a step back from social media and leaving a team to deal with it. I am forever grateful for the support from the genuine fans, but I am taking this measure to protect myself in a bid to keep my focus on helping the team any way I can. Hopefully, speaking out will make the people writing this abuse think twice that others won't have to deal with it. We have made some historic changes with the Lionesses squad, and I am so proud to be part of that. And my hope is that by speaking out, this will make another positive change for all. I am now looking forward to focusing on putting all of my energy into helping the team, and that was direct from Jess Carter. Awful, horrific abuse, and also the Lionesses, I'll read what they've put out as well. We stand with Jess and all the Lionesses players past and present who have suffered racism. No one should have to endure such vile abuse, be it in football or any walk of life. Representing our country is the greatest honour. It is not right that while we are doing something that we love, we are treated differently simply because the colour of our skin. Until now, we have chosen to take the knee before matches. It is clear that we and football need to find another way to tackle racism. We have agreed as a squad to remain standing before kick-off on Tuesday. We hope the game can come together to see what more can be done. For now, we will return our total focus to an important semi-final. In the meantime, we know that the FA are working with the UK police and the appropriate bodies. Those behind the online poison must be held accountable. So that's the statement that the Lionesses have put out. All the Lionesses and the management have actually sort of retweeted that onto their social media as well. So yeah, the big news obviously coming out of that is the fact that the Lionesses won't be taking the knee. And yeah, it's just a horrific day really, that abhorrent abuse that Jess is facing, and obviously everyone stands with her.
Absolutely right, and thank you for reading out those statements, Courtney, those lengthy statements. Not taking the knee on Tuesday night, that's interesting. Both Perry and I raised our eyebrows at that. Is that the correct response given what's happened today, do you think? Surely now is the time that you do take the knee and sort of demonstrate even more solidarity than we're used to?
It's hard, isn't it? I think I look at it as a mixed race person myself, and the abuse that we've seen many footballers face. We've seen it just recently with Salford in a pre-season friendly. We've seen it with years gone by with obviously the Lions and missing penalties and the abuse that they found, and even before this when Lauren James got sent off in the World Cup in Australia and the abuse that she made. So I get sort of your viewpoint from that, whereas yes, we need to come together, but that sort of process of taking the knee, I think we need to ask, what is it achieving? What attention are we drawing to it? And if we just keep doing it before a game, it almost becomes the norm. And actually, nothing's changing. This abuse is still happening. So, Mark Bullingham, as also the FA CEO, has released a statement saying he supports Jess and they're going to work with the police. So whether it be the police, obviously the FA, we know we've got things like Kick It Out. But for me as well, the social media companies, there needs to be more done, because it's quite obvious at the moment that taking the knee isn't having the desired effect because this abuse is still happening.
Courtney, you mentioned that, obviously, you said about taking the knee. I think that comes down to the players. The players should have the final decision of whether they take the knee or whether they don't. And obviously they've had a meeting and decided they're not going to. So I'm 100% behind them. You mentioned about the police. These, Jess said in a statement about hopes she's going to change these people's minds, about the vile abuse they put on. Unfortunately, these people who are putting that on social media, you're not going to change their minds because they're uneducated, right? They're Neanderthal, they're Luddites. But the police, if they can find one person and the Twitter address or X address, whatever, leads them, there has to be arrests. There has to be arrests now so the police can say, if you put this on social media, you're going to be arrested and there's every chance you could go to prison. If you make an example, one or two, I'm not saying it will stop it completely, but it will make people think twice.
Consequences.
Yeah, I agree that there has to be a consequence, and that's why the police have to work with these social media companies. It's far too easy to be able to set up an account, to be able to sit behind sort of your keyboard and say whatever you want. It can't be sort of led back to you. It's easy to sit there with a faceless, profile, and if one gets obviously sort of struck off, you can upload another profile quite easily. You don't have to. For me, I think there should be a process somehow where you have to give ID, whether it be your passport, whether it be your driving licence, to start these sort of accounts. Obviously, that's something that's sort of way above my pay grade. But I agree, when, again, these people do get found, and we saw it not so long ago, didn't we, with Ian Wright, in terms of the person behind the abuse got found, and then actually I think he got off on sort of a parole or community service because, it was seen that he was young and he actually comes from a good family. But so there's, again, even if you maybe do get caught by the police and it does go to court, that there is no consequence. So there has to be a consequence for these actions. But you're right, I don't think, I get where Jess is coming from with that statement, but you're probably not going to change these people's minds because it's horrific, this abuse, and it's a thought process that belongs, well, it doesn't belong anywhere. It doesn't even belong in the past. But I don't think you're going to change those people's minds. The only way that there is going to be some sort of end to this is that there is consequences to actions. And unfortunately, at the moment, it's far too easy to abuse people online, in stadiums, as we've seen, and be able to get away with it.
I mate, you're absolutely right, Courtney. There's a separate argument to be made about players' involvement on social media during tournaments anyway, not to give any weight whatsoever to what Jess has had to put up with, but I would ask the question, why are England players on social media during tournaments? This is something that perhaps could be dealt with afterwards. I'm pleased that it is being dealt with now and that the law enforcement agencies are taking it seriously, but is this the sort of distraction that players need during a major tournament? That's something that we'll come on to later on in the show, I'm sure. But Courtney, if we can turn our attention to matters on the pitch, a semi-final on Tuesday night against Italy, and I think everyone agrees the Lioness need to be a lot better than they were for the majority of the game in the quarter-final against Sweden.
Yeah, they do. Look, there's no doubt about it. Against the Netherlands, against Wales, I think both of those teams were poor. I think when we've come up against good opposition like France and like Sweden, obviously we've really struggled. So against Italy, it's going to be tough because obviously they're riding high. There's lots of confidence, so they're going to have to go into this game, obviously, as you do in any semi-final in a major tournament, at top notch. And it's going to be difficult now because this will have rocked the camp. This camp has so together. So the fact that one of their teammates has faced this sort of abuse, I think it's going to be hard for them to step on the pitch. Hopefully it's something that galvanises them and brings them together, and a performance that, as I say, sort of brings them together, and maybe, you don't want any abuse like this to ever happen, but if there is any good to come out of it, it's the fact that it brings everyone together. But yeah, going back to what you said though, Ben, I've got to go back to that. I don't think, being on social media, I don't think that's a distraction. If the players can deal with it, you don't expect to go on social media and be abused. So, yeah, I would very much push back on that one, I must admit. OK, fair enough, Courtney. Perry, what were you going to say then?
No, I was going to say, but if it's having that negative effect, you could have 100 tweets and 98 of them can be positive, 2 can be negative. The 2 that stay in your head are the negative ones. So it should be an individual choice. But if I was a player, I wouldn't be going anywhere social media and now until the end of the tournament.
Or if you're the manager, if you're Srin Wiedmann or Thomas Tuchel or Gareth Southgate or any international manager, I think, it doesn't in any way excuse what's been said, but yeah, it's about the distraction. It's about the implications that it'll have. That will presumably be punished. And Courtney, I think the phrase you used was way above our pay grade. You're right. We can't make those decisions. We can't dish out the punishments. I wish we could, because we'd make them the maximum possible. But I just think the wider point of players being on social media during tournaments, things like this get spotted, rightly dealt with. But is that the right sort of preparation for a Euro semi-final? That was my point. But as you say, you don't expect to go on social media and expect to get that sort of abuse.
No, exactly. And like I say, I understand sort of the process in terms of, on social media, we're not talking about racist abuse here, but positive and negative comments. And you're right, it's human nature. You see 99 good ones, you see a bad one, and it affects you. But, these players, Jess especially, she's so experienced, so she will know whether she can handle just the normal criticism and the way that you sort of look at social media. And there's being on social media and constantly scrolling through your phone, or a way to sort of look at things as and when. But yeah, I will still sit in the camp that nobody should be abused in that way, and it shouldn't be a fact that, right, I'm not going to go on social media for the fact that I might be racially abused. So I understand the process, but I'm still very much in the camp of it's abhorrent, and it shouldn't. This is the issue with racism. You're trying. It will stop people from doing things and enacting in their normal daily life, and that shouldn't be the case.
Oh, absolutely right. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, Lioness, is reporting for talkSPORT. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Let's head back to Royal Portrush and speak to Sean O'Brien. Sean, what's the latest?
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler might have just slammed the door shut. His approach at the first ends up about a foot from the pin. He nearly holed it. So he taps that in and moves to 15 under in the most spectacular fashion. It's almost sucked the air out of the balloon here at Portrush. Rory parred the first. You can't get near him here. The crowds are extraordinary. But he did just grab a birdie at the second, so he's back within 6. And China's Hao Tong-Li is staying with Scheffler, actually. He might look like a bit of an imposter on this leaderboard, but he birdied the first as well, so he's the only one keeping Scheffler honest here. He's still within 4, but it is a perfect start for the world number 1. 4-shot lead at 15 under par, and it's live over on talkSPORT 2.
The Open Update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Everything for your car, all in one place.
From Northern Ireland to the Winter Gardens up in Blackpool and the World Match Play Darts. Good afternoon, Mark Wilson.
Good afternoon, guys. Day 2 here. We just witnessed an absolute cracker. Andrew Gilding has beaten the Aussie number 1 Damon Heta. Heta led throughout, but Gilding stuck with him. Missed a double 12 for a 9-darter in leg 9. It ended up at 9-9, taking us to a tiebreaker. And after 5 successive breaks to throw, it was Gilding who held his nerve and held his throw to close out a 12-10 win. Both players averaging over a ton, and Heta was devastated when he left the stage. The action continuing now on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube page, and it's the former champion Rob Cross who's raced into a 5-2 lead over Dirk van Duijvenbode. The winner of this will take on Andrew Gilding in round 2. At the PDC World Match Play, it's Cross 5, van Duijvenbode 2.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Next on the Sunday session. The unmistakable sound of Thin Lizzy. The boys are back in town. That was a suggestion from Jenny, the Tottenham fan, with regards to one of our sound stories today. Harry Redknapp going back into the jungle. Are you a Thin Lizzy fan, Barry?
You know what? When I was younger, I went from soul boy to rude boy to new romantic, and the sort of rock I'm at now does nothing for me. Do you know what I mean? But then as you get older, you sort of broaden your horizons a little bit, and you actually think, actually, I get it now. It's quite good.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. Jailbreak, I think, is a better song than this. This just makes me think of Gladiators back in the 90s. They all stood there flexing, Hunter and Rhino and all the rest of them. A little window into my world.
Was it John Fashanu? Was it John Fashanu?
It was, yeah.
Ricky
Johnson, very much. Yeah, and Wolf was the baddie, wasn't he? My kids love the reincarnation of Gladiators, but I say to them, the original was better for a number of reasons.
Oh, that one was far better in my day.
It was much better in my day.
Rubbish, I tell you, it's more physical. The tasks are harder. It's rubbish.
They were harder, I'm sure they were. But hey, our conversation for another day, right? Perry, thank you very much indeed for the time being. Next here on the Sunday session on talkSPORT, we'll get you smiling.
sounds of the weekend on the Sunday session on talkSPORT.
Very good afternoon. 03717223344 if you want to give us a call or a WhatsApp or indeed a WhatsApp voice note on the Sunday session. That would take that back for good. And that was relating to our Harry Redknapp story, going back in the jungle. It could also be related to... This second song could be related to that as well, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But it is related to the Donald Trump story that we brought you earlier on about the fact he pocketed a Chelsea Club World Cup Winners' Cup medal. Two very good tunes.
Yeah, our listeners are always far better, far more eclectic choices than what we've got, trust me.
And those watching on YouTube right now can see him in shot, Donald Trump, President of the USA, getting involved, and the Chelsea players just aren't having it one bit.
And he just went, I'll take that.
That'll do, mate. Thank you very much. The leader of the free world's a Chelsea fan. Would you not want him on your side? Is it not a good thing?
This week.
Yeah, well, this week, yeah. Next week it'll be Liverpool, Man City, who knows. So please do keep them coming with regards to our two stories. Sounds of the weekend, Harry Redknapp set to return to the jungle. One thing that's talking about everything being better back then, by the way, and Noel Edmonds' house party, we were chatting about this before we came on air, how good 90s TV was. Believe it or not, I did my dissertation on this. I won't read it now, don't worry, it's 10,000 words long. But Noel Edmonds was one of the great stories of the 2018 I'm a Celeb camp, if I can call it that. Him and Harry Redknapp was such a good double act, and I think he got voted out in the first week or something.
He was
and the
first
producers
one out,
must have been, they were so good together. Maybe they're Sunday session presenters of the future.
So you're talking they should have their own TV show?
Maybe,
Prime time Saturday night.
Maybe Noel Edmonds will be next back in.
They're the new Ant and Dec.
Maybe. Really go backwards, why not? I think he's actually got a show out in New Zealand at the minute about a pub, is that right, Noel Edmonds?
Noel Edmonds, yeah.
Yeah, I can't say what it's called on air, but sounds a little bit like rugger. I can say that, as Danny Kelly would say. Thank you very much indeed for the time being. That is your sounds of the weekend. 81089 on the text if you want to get involved. But now it's time for this.
When you're smiling, the whole world, it smiles with you.
And predictably, I prefer the Frank Sinatra version of this. There it is. We start in North London.
So presenting 53 minutes, you just slaughtered one of the features.
It's a great feature, but Frank Sinatra's version is just, it gives you that lovely autumnal feeling, like Christmassy feeling.
Back in my day.
Back in my day.
That.
And Frank Sinatra was long before my day,
we
by the way.
call you now, back in my day, Ben.
Back in my day, Ben. Yeah, that should be my ex-handle, shouldn't it? We start in North London, though. Tottenham fans say they don't have an insight into Thomas Frank's tactics. They have Destiny Udogie to thank. Thanks to a cheeky Snapchat post from the defender, we've had a little peek behind the curtain. Eagle-eyed fans spotted a training schedule in the background with one intriguing bullet point: long throw audition. Long throw audition, that's right. Spurs players apparently auditioning their hurls in what could be a nod to Brentford's success in that very department last season. Under Thomas Frank, the Bees bagged 14 of 66 Premier League goals last season from set pieces, with Keith Andrews as their set piece guru, later replacing Frank as Brentford boss. They turned throw-ins and corners into genuine goal threats. Don't be surprised if Spurs start launching missiles into the box this season. We could have another modern day Rory Delap, couldn't we? Although he was better.
Do you know what? All of a sudden they become en vogue. I mean, as someone who made a career out of long throw, right? And it's about the trajectory, by the way, not looping. And if you're going to tell players to get back, you push them back, but you got to make sure your throwing at least gets into the 6-yard box.
Yeah,
because it's embarrassing if you don't. It's never been a long throw.
Oh, game over.
And all of a sudden, as well, because there were so many goals scored towards the end of the season from long throws, because a lot of the modern day defenders can't defend balls coming into the box, we discovered, Arsenal fans, that Thomas Partey had a long throw.
Yeah.
So who'd have thought it?
Who'd have believed it?
And you should be more accurate with using your hands than what you're on your feet.
People call it agricultural football or long ball was boring, direct's boring. Maybe route one, but if it works,
get it in the mixer.
Get it in the mixer. The Woking goalkeeper, Craig Ross. There we go. 53 minutes. First Woking mention of the afternoon, not the last. He played it through to one of our players, and he scored a goal Saturday. One of the trialists, I think, and he scored a goal from a goalkeeper throwing the ball out. Good. More of the same. If it works, don't write it off. Launch it. Perry, what you got?
Back in my day, football was far better.
Back in my day, yeah.
Over now to story. It's certainly a reminder of true British football for Andy Carroll.
Yeah.
There were big cheers and even laughs at Dagenham Redbridge as Carroll made his debut. The former England-Liverpool striker, once the priciest footballer on the planet, came on just after the hour mark with Daggers trailing 2-1. Every time Carroll touched the ball, the small but lively crowd erupted with a good old-fashioned way in classic pre-season style. Sadly for Andy, the fairy tale didn't come off. Crawley, looking every bit the League Two side against the 6-tier hosts, ran away with it late on, helped massively by a mystery man known as try list B. By the way, if you're try list B, get yourself an agent.
Yeah.
Because you want
this
references.
is your moment.
You don't want This has been going on about a week now.
Yeah.
You tell your agent, I want my name put in these reports.
It's just something out of a court case, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's something terrible. Try list B.
Try list B, who bagged a quick-fire brace to round off a 5-1 win. Carroll had a one-headed chance. We want to be. Still, at least he won the crowd.
He did
and
very much.
That's like the old days when players used to drop down the leagues. They don't do it anymore.
No.
They don't need to, because I can remember randomly, and there are probably loads of listeners who've got other stories where I either saw or played against an absolute legend. I played against Martin Peters.
Oh, wow.
World Cup winner for Colts United Reserves when I was 16 against Galston.
Wow.
Over in Norfolk. And he must have been about 38, 39. Can you imagine that? A World Cup winner playing in... That wasn't even a tier.
No.
That was like reserve team football.
I can't boast a World Cup winner, but Woking, second mention of the afternoon, had Peter Bonetti in goal for a game back in the 80s. Yeah,
there you go, you see.
And my favourite ever player, ever that I saw in the flesh, Clive Walker. He didn't end his career with us. Chelsea legend, yeah. Ended his career with us. Final two stories. Over now to a classic father-son story. There's new Schneider on the scene. Wesley Sneijder's son, Jesse, has just signed his first professional contract with Dutch side Utrecht. He's already dreaming big. The 18-year-old midfielder, clearly following in his dad's classy footsteps, will start out with Utrecht's junior team in the Dutch second tier after catching the eye in the club's academy. Bursting with pride, Jesse said it's a dream come true, but it's only the beginning. Of course, he's got some big boots to fill, Wesley being a Champions League winner, a World Cup finalist, and one of the best playmakers of his generation. But everyone's got to start somewhere, right? Utrecht might just be where the next Schneider story begins.
And finally, Erik ten Hag's fresh start at Bayer Leverkusen got off to an absolute nightmare as his new side were battered 5-1 by a bunch of Brazilian teenagers.
Ouch.
The former Man United boss, who was shown the door at Old Trafford after a rocky spell that ended with a loss to West Ham, took charge of Leverkusen this summer as Xabi Alonso's replacement. But any hopes of a smooth debut were quickly crushed by Flamengo's under 20s, no less.
Oh no.
Leverkusen were 1 to 100 favourites going into friendly in Brazil, but the Samba kids had other ideas, running right and handing Ten Hag a humbling 5-1 hammering. Ouch, it may have been a friendly, but it was anything but friendly for the Dutchman, and he gave Flecken, his debut goalkeeper, the hook after 37 minutes. Off he comes, son.
Yeah. I mean, there are some, I can just see a sad face. For some people, it never rains, it pours, and I think Erik ten Hag is certainly one of those people based on the last 12 to 18 months or so. Thank you very much indeed for the time being, Perry. Let's head back to Royal Portrush and Sean O'Brien.
Yeah, no birdie for Scotty Scheffler at the favourable par 5 second, but China's Hao Tong Li made bogey, so Scheffler's lead is now 5. Matt Fitzpatrick heading in the wrong direction as well, drop shot at the third for him, so any hopes of a first English winner since 1992 appear well and truly over. Rory McIlroy had an outside birdie chance that didn't scare the hole. He remains 6 back, and so does Harris English, but Scheffler is cruising. He leads by 5, and it's live over on talkSPORT 2.
The Open Update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed.
And to the World Match Play darts up at Winter Gardens in Blackpool with the very latest for talkSPORT, Mark Wilson.
Yeah, Rob Cross, former champion here, leads Dirk van Duijvenbode by 6 legs to 5. Cross was averaging over 104 and did at one point lead 6-2, but the Dutchman has reeled off 3 legs on the spin. It's a race to 10 for a place in round 2. All the action is live over on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel right now. It's Rob Cross 6, Dirk van Duijvenbode 5.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Next on the Sunday session. We almost heard you singing on air there, Perry.
I checked myself. I didn't want some dolphins in London Zoo to have ear bleed. No, don't be doing that.
Great song, back to back by Amy Winehouse in honour of Harry Redknapp, who's going back into the jungle, we're told, later this winter for a second bite of the cherry. Keep them coming, 81089 on the text. 50p plus normal sending charges apply, or you can WhatsApp us 03717 223344. Next on the Sunday session on talkSPORT, we'll be asking whether pre-season results matter after a 4-0 defeat for Newcastle at Celtic.
For every good signing a club makes, there's bound to be a few that don't work out. And Man United have certainly had their fair share of those, especially since the end of their golden age under Sir Alex Ferguson. Here are just some of the Red Devils' worst signings since Fergie. First up, Alexis Sanchez. Sanchez joined United from Arsenal back in 2018 and became the highest paid player in the Prem. He'd averaged almost 1 goal every 2 games for the Gunners, but in his 45 games for Man United, he only managed 5 goals. Not what you want from a star striker. Next up, Radamel Falcao. He earned himself the nickname the Tiger for his sheer efficiency and the way he used to pounce upon the mistakes of defenders. But at Man United, he was way more pussycat than Tiger, to be honest. All he managed in 29 Man United games was 4 goals. Moving on, things couldn't have gone much worse for Jadon Sancho at Man United. Yeah, it would have been hard to outdo his Borussia Dortmund form, but 12 goals in 83 games is not great. Things got worse after a public fallout with manager Erik ten Hag. Sancho said he was being made a scapegoat. Ten Hag said there'd been a discipline issue. It all ended up with Sancho going back to Germany. Next, Erik ten Hag probably thought he was being smart in sticking to what he knew when he signed Antony from his former club Ajax. But the £86 million Brazilian hasn't really been able to hack it in the Prem. Chances are Antony's Man United days are numbered. Next, the curse of the Man United number 7 shirt. Not an easy act following Ronaldo, Cantona, Beckham and George Best, but Memphis Depay was another striker who was apparently allergic to scoring for United. He scored just 7 in 53 appearances, a huge letdown since he'd helped PSV win the Dutch league just a season before joining. Last one, Angel Di Maria was set to be United's landmark signing when he joined in 2014, but 1 season later he was already on his way out. 4 goals in 32 games was just not good enough, given he'd broken the British record transfer fee when he signed. And those are just a few examples. To be honest, the list could go on and on. Unfortunately, that's probably why Man United haven't won the Prem for a while, and why it might take a few more years before they're in contention again.
Good afternoon, you're listening to the Sunday session on talkSPORT with me, Ben Fletcher, and former Arsenal winger Perry Groves. Before we do anything else, we're going to head back to Royal Portrush, where it's a very good afternoon to Rupert Bell.
And Scotty Scheffler, well, the only person who could perhaps stop him from winning the Claret Jug is himself. But with the way he hit his approach shot into the first to a foot, means that he's picked up a shot already at 15 under par. He's 5 clear of the chasing pack. Looks like we're in for a victory stroll for Scotty Scheffler as he goes in search of his first Claret Jug.
And what's the very latest from the World Match Play Darts? Good afternoon, Mark Wilson.
It's all level here. Rob crossed 7 up. Van Duivenbode 7 crossed it. Leads 6-2. Van Duivenbode leveled up at 6-6. It's a race to 10 for a place in round 2. The action continues over on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel.
Shortly, we'll be reviewing last night's dominant win for Alexander Usyk in his rematch against Daniel Dubois and discuss Arsenal calling up 2 15-year-olds for their tour of Asia. That is all here on the Sunday session on talkSPORT. Now, it's a very big birthday today, Perry.
Is that why you got your shirt on?
It was actually my mum's birthday. Happy birthday, Mum. I knew I'd forgotten something. Your gift card's in the post. The FA Cup was born on this day, July the 20th, 1871. It was first mentioned in minutes of a meeting by the Football Association, and the greatest cup competition in the world was born. Big fan of the FA Cup. I mean, it won't surprise you that I am, because of the heritage and the tradition, being a non-league fan, the opportunities to go on big runs and have giant killing experiences and that type of thing. But still a very, very valid competition. I know it's been, the FA have done their best perhaps to decimate it and maybe not make it as relevant or important as it was. But I think if there is one last bastion of magic in English football, it's the FA Cup.
Well, I'm going to channel my inner you.
Go on.
Back in my day, right? Back in my day, the FA Cup was the only live game on national television you could guarantee. Sometimes randomly there'd be an England under 51 schoolboy game on a Saturday. Even England games weren't live. And I could tell you probably from 70 to 80 as a kid watching the FA Cup was the biggest football day of the year. I could tell you who won the FA Cup in those years. I couldn't tell you who won the old First Division. Yeah. Because the FA Cup was more important to fans, and people. So, I think it's gradually getting its kudos back. As you said there, I think it was when Manchester United went off to the, in inverted commas, World Club Championship, didn't they? And then the FA allowed them to go and not be in the FA Cup. And that absolutely ridiculous. But I think Crystal Palace winning it this year, I think for the neutral big FA Cup fans, that was a brilliant result for not just a Palace winning their first ever trophy in the history, but for the FA Cup.
Huge. It was a little bit like, it was one for the romantics, wasn't it? Yeah. If Leicester can win the Premier League, anyone can win the Premier League. I heard their fortune since maybe haven't gone quite the way they thought they'd like, but Palace winning the Cup is absolutely, it gives you an opportunity to dare to dream. It's a trophy. How many times, I hate to bring up your former club Arsenal, but fourth place did become a bit of a trophy for some clubs, including Arsenal under Wenger in the end. And you think, well, okay, it's a statutory league position that qualifies you for a competition that you're then potentially going to go out in the group stage anyway, or get to the knockouts and be a bit embarrassed. But to have a trophy in your cabinet, look at the fuss that Tottenham have made over the Europa League, understandably,
quite rightly
so, yeah, and all the mocking they got, and you think, no, it's a trophy in the cabinet, absolutely worth celebrating. And I do hope that Palace's win over Manchester City at Wembley, never mind how dramatic it was, and all the carry on with the stuff that Pep Guardiola was unhappy about on the day, it just reboots the competition and it just gives it a little more, as you put it, sort of respect and kudos heading into a new season.
And the romantic side of it as well, because I was lucky enough to be at Selhurst Park when they played Wolves for the next Premier League game. Yeah. And obviously the place was absolutely rocking. The biggest day that they'd celebrated in Crystal Palace history. And then Joel Ward actually, we thought, well, what's he? Because he was obviously leaving Palace. Of course. And at the end of it, he came from the far bottom corner at the Homestead Road end and brought the FA Cup out. Yeah. And I'm a neutral, right? And it was spine-tingling. Yeah. Because the energy and the the affection, the love, the warmth, and just the pure joy that those Palace fans had. And football's about memories. Of
course it is.
They'll never, ever forget that for the rest of their lives. And there'll be a back in my day.
Of course there will.
There'll be
Ben
kids.
Fletcher Jr.
Exactly, Ben Fletcher Jr. who are 10 or 11 will be telling when they're older, their kids, by the way, back in my day, when we beat Man City at the FA Cup, one of the biggest shocks, that was our halcyon days of Crystal Palace.
Absolutely.
That is what the FA Cup, I think, is all about. And just a little detail on what you said, Arsene Wenger saying it was a winning trophy. He actually said it was like winning a trophy.
Like winning a trophy.
Not actually winning a trophy.
The devil's in the detail, Perry. Well, a lot of people that called into talkSPORT had a slightly different view, but I will take your point on that. Listen, get in touch with us. Give us your FA Cup memories. What is the defining FA Cup title? Was it Ronnie Radford? Was it Palace beating City? And by the way, I coach an under-9s team. Go on, you Brock and Badgers Whites. And two of the lads were there at Wembley, 8 years old. And you think, what an experience. To go and see your team do the unthinkable, win a trophy, the noise, everything else is absolutely fantastic. So please do drop us a text, 81089, 50p plus normal sending charges apply. 03717 223344 on the WhatsApp. Give us a call or send us a voice note if you're able to on your phone. Being a Woking fan, everyone remembers Timmy Bazaglo, obviously, a bit before my time.
Hat-trick.
Timmy Bazaglo hat-trick, lost your job 4-2 and you lost your job away at West Brom. That was the chant aimed at Brian Talbot. But the one I remember was we had a run in 97, the year we won the FA Trophy at the old Wembley, better back in my day, and we beat then League One Millwall, then League Two, or as it was in Division 3, Cambridge United, and we were the first non-league team to hold a then Premiership team on their own ground, Coventry City. 1-1 draw at Highfield Road, back to our place. I queued for 4 hours in my school uniform in the freezing January weather. So you bunked
off school?
No, I got off the bus, and because the school bus went past the ground on the Kingfield Road, if you're familiar with the area, and I said, I've got to go and join the queue. So I just literally went and joined the queue, no coat or anything, because we were double hard back then, and we waited for 4 hours and we got a ticket. I was on Mona's corner and I saw Steve Ogrizovic, Richard Shaw, Gary McAllister, people in my Premier League sticker book, and it was pure magic. Yeah, we lost the game, but there was a little bit of FA Cup style.
But also, we mentioned about obviously the FA Cup final, but we just say what it means to non-league teams and lower league teams getting through for Woking to the first round, the money that it will generate that then safeguards your futures, and if you can get into the third round and get a big
Hollywood
draw.
tie.
Exactly, and hopefully that you're at home you know, because you want to put the big boys out of their comfort zone. But if you get drawn away from home, you get 40% of the gate receipts.
Of course.
And that sort of cements your club's history. I had, like, loads of FA Cup games, but two that come to mind. We played first FA Cup final, semi-final, ever at Wembley, where Gaza obviously scored his worldie top goal.
Wow.
And George Graham told me to go on and change the game, and I did. We were 2-1 down, we lost 3-1. So that one. And Wrexham, getting beat at Wrexham.
The giant killing.
With, it was Mickey Thomas, not Michael Thomas, where he just smacked the ball in the top corner. I think it was Watkins. And that was Wright's fault, because I think he was cup-tied, and we were 1-0 up at half-time. We should have been 9-0 up. Honestly, we absolutely slaughtered them.
One of those games.
And he was banging on the Wrexham dressing room door. Are you going to give us a game? We come down all this way. And you're like, don't wind them up, Righty. And that's one of the greatest shocks ever.
One of the great, what happened next as well. That'll be on a quiz show one day. So send us your FA Cup memories. What is your defining FA Cup memory? Your favourite game, your favourite moment, your favourite brag, whatever it might be. 81089 on the text, 03717 223344 on the WhatsApp. Now, some pre-season results. How important, from a results point of view, is pre-season? Obviously, we talk about players being fit. We talk about new signings gelling together. We talk about teams arriving on August the 9th or the 16th or whatever date is you kick off your campaign in the right shape. That's all obviously very important. But the results, are they that big a deal? I guess if you're going to lose 9-0 to a team that are 5 tiers below you, then questions may be asked. But let's say, for example, Manchester United 0, Leeds 0 from yesterday. I mean, apart from it being a potential relegation 6-pointer next season, some may say, what lessons would have been learned? How many clubs of both fans walking away from that game thinking it was a goalless draw? Are you worried? Are you excited? Are you not bothered?
Yeah, but it's different context because if you have a manager you had last season and you had a decent season last season, that manager's not under as much pressure. He's already implemented his style and his philosophy. So fans will looking at it and just thinking, right, it's about players' fitness, players not get injured. Do you know what I mean? And just making sure that you're physically ready to start the season. If you're a new manager, we mentioned about Ten Hag earlier, getting beat 5 by, was it Flamengo under 12s or something, wasn't it?
Something ludicrous,
but if you're a new, and we talk about Spurs later on as well. Obviously, Thomas Frank going in to Spurs. If you're a new manager, it's important that you win your first game, because then players buy into you a lot quicker and a lot easier. Do you know what I mean? And you can just sort of relax a little bit, and it takes the pressure off. So it's a different context. As players, you know full well the first couple of games you'll play 45 minutes, and then you'll build it up to an hour, and then you'll build it up. And again, you never ever play right to your full capacity in pre-season.
No.
It's impossible, because there's not the jeopardy on the games, and you're always breathing out your backside after the first 25 minutes of the first Premier League game or whatever league game it is, because the pace of that game is far quicker.
Of course.
And you've got to get your second win. So I think it varies, as I said there, from team to team. Like you mentioned about Woke. I'm obviously a Gooner. We've got they're going to Singapore. We got the first game against AC Milan, and it will just be, what you don't want is to get absolutely hammered. Just speaking to producer Ollie, like Newcastle got beat 4 by Celtic, but then what happens around that? You're like, well, Eddie Howe's not under pressure. I don't think Newcastle fans will be like outraged. But again, we'll talk about Isak, the situation around there. What you don't want is uncertainty around your pre-season.
And exactly, and people start saying, well, they've lost that because of all the uncertainty. I'm glad you brought that up, Perry, because Eddie Howe, that's what our former colleague Darren Goff may have called him, Eddie Howe, after that 4-0 defeat to Celtic, which has done Brendan Rodgers a lot of good, by the way. But Howe explained why Alexander Isak wasn't at Celtic Park.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for me to give 100% clarity on any player. I'd never sit here and do that, because it's football and you never know what can happen. All I can say is that Alex is happy at Newcastle. He loves the players that he plays with, the staff, the team. I've never had any issue with him, other than really enjoying seeing his talent and seeing him express himself. And certainly I'm confident that he's going to be here at the start of the season.
So much of it is about optics, isn't it? And we spoke a little bit earlier on about Isak now looking like he's staying at Newcastle, or he's certainly not going to Liverpool. But it does seem a bit strange, and it's a bit of an unhappy coincidence for Eddie Howe that he wasn't at Celtic Park. You can talk until the cows come home about how happy a player is. You can say all the right things, but not a great look.
But he's made it more of a story.
Yeah.
He's made it more of a story, because I think he said he didn't want all the furore around him because they managed his minutes. Well, then put him in the match day squad, inverted commas, and you either bring him on for 10 minutes or you don't. And so it doesn't become a bigger story, because people like ourselves and all like talkSPORT and all the papers and journalists are thinking, hold on a minute, why has he sent him home? Is his attitude in training not been good? Has his head been turned? He's got a bit of the ump because he wasn't given a bigger contract when he was told he was going to have a contract. So that's made it more of a story. It's actually brought more attention onto him whenever he just had him around the squad.
Well, it's like that couple at the Coldplay concert, wasn't it? Just ride it out, don't move. Musical statues, move on. And we'll come on to that because I really want to talk about that with you. Absolutely unbelievable. But listen, it's
How's
time.
your day to go?
Yeah, exactly.
Today? Well, I've had better days.
And with HR as well. I mean, I'm no friend of HR, by the way, but that's an absolute. We'll come on to it. I promise we'll come on to it. Let's head back to Northern Ireland. Rupert Bell's watching the last day of the Open for talkSPORT. Rupert.
Well, Scotty Scheffler is in cruise control. He's just hit a fabulous shot into the par 4 fourth hole to 7 feet. So looks as if he has an outstanding chance to get to 16 under par and extend his lead to 6. He just is serenely going about his business, shows no signs of weakness for the world number 1. It's a sort of Tiger-esque style performance. Ho-Tan Lee, well, fortunately he dropped a shot at the second, the par 5. He's at 10 under. Harris English and Chris Goddard, who won last weekend's Scottish Opener at 9 under. Ricky Fowler, great performance from him, who's sort of been a bit becalmed in terms of golfing performance at the Open, but he's finished at 8 under after an excellent 65. And Bryson DeChambeau is on 8 under with 1 to play. Over the last 53 holes, he is 15 under par, which would be, even if he'd carded level par on day 1, mean he'd be in a share for the lead with Scotty Scheffler. For Rory McIlroy, disappointment, drop shot at the 4th, means he's back to 8 under par and sadly won't be lifting the claret jug. Something horrendous has got to happen to Scotty Scheffler. Well, what actually I think is going to happen, I can see him getting to 20 under par and winning this by maybe 10, maybe even more on the evidence so far.
The Open Update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Build your own car deal, all with a few clicks.
Live commentary continues over on talkSPORT 2. Let's head up to the World Match Play darts now and check in with Mark Wilson.
Yeah, Van Duijvenbode has just wrapped up a place in round 2. He's beaten Rob Cross by 10 legs to 8. Cross actually led 6-2 before Van Duijvenbode won 8 of the last 10 legs to go through. Pivotal moment at 7-7. Rob Cross required double 16 but bust his score. That left Van Duijvenbode needing 137. He hit treble 19 and then went tops to take the lead, and he closed it out. He will play Andrew Gilding in round 2. Former champion Peter Wright is up next. He takes on Jermaine Watermainer. That's live over on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel.
Hold off the 90s Club Classic, lads, because Perry Groves has got something he'd like to say.
No, just on the pre-season stuff, right? If you win your first league game of the season, no one cares.
Yeah.
Everybody's got... There was 1992-93, we played Norwich the first game of the season at Highbury. And I'm pretty sure Norwich fans will probably be able to tweet in or text whatever, that they didn't win a pre-season game, or it was really poor. 2-0 down to us at half-time. They won the game 4-2 at Highbury, went on to finish 3rd. Yeah. And their pre-season weren't great. So if you win your first game, nobody cares about pre-season.
It's all about context, isn't it? Next on the Sunday session. There we go, return of the Mac by Mark Morrison. That's from Samuel in Yorkshire. Thank you, Samuel. That's relating to Harry Redknapp potentially heading back into the jungle. If you've got a relevant song, please give it to us. 03717 223344 on the WhatsApp, 81089 on the text. 50p plus normal sending charges apply. Next, we're going to turn our attention to Arsenal after they named 2 15-year-olds in their squad for their Asia tour.
sounds of the weekend on the Sunday session on talkSPORT.
Still My Sunshine by Len. That's the Donald Trump story. It's from Leslie and Barrow.
Wicked, wicked. Jungle is massive. Wicked, wicked. Jungle is massive. Wicked.
And Mason from Solihull has suggested wicked, jungle is massive, as you may have heard, relating to the Harry Redknapp story on the front of the Sun today, potentially heading into the jungle for a second time. Perry, is someone who's won 2 league titles, could you be tempted to go into the jungle? I mean, you're a big catch for TV producers, I should think.
In a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
when people go, I'll think about it, you go, how much? All right, no problem.
What's your biggest fear?
Snakes.
But
Freddie Frintoff went into the Australian equivalent of I'm a Celebrity, and I think he told them something like that he was frightened of toads, which is a complete lie.
Loved it.
So they put, every challenge is, it might be something different, but he put toads in. He's like, oh, he's like, all right, no, I'll get through that. I'll be fine.
That's a great idea.
Throw a little curveball in.
That's what I'd do. I think the one thing I couldn't do, I could do most things, but I could never go in a hot air balloon. Don't mind heights. I could abseil down this building if I had to, if my mortgage depended on it.
One puncture away, is that what it is?
One puncture away. And the idea that a basket is, I know it's not literally a basket, a woven kind of 18th century job, but the idea of being in a hot air balloon would absolutely do me. It's not my luck. They'd all parachute out the plane. And I'm not suggesting I'm famous enough to be an I'm a celeb, by the way. Let's just make that clear. But if I was in that sort of situation, being in a hot air balloon would be my absolute nightmare.
What, so you'd rather be strapped to someone diving out of a plane than floating through the air in a hot air balloon?
100%.
Would you?
Yeah. I'd literally find that more genteel, more enjoyable, less stressful. Hot air balloons, I've said to my wife and I've said to friends and family members, don't ever surprise me with something like that, because I will not get on. I literally will not get on.
You are going to stay grounded in every single way.
Exactly. Thank you very much indeed for your text relating to FA Cup memories. It's the FA Cup's birthday today, born on this day in 1871. Thanks for this anonymous text on 81089. My FA Cup memory is of Brighton losing the replay in 1983. I was at school in Brighton back then, and the whole season and cup run was genuinely the stuff of dreams. It dominated all our classroom and break time conversations. Sadly, my mother died unexpectedly just 3 days later from that 4-0 defeat, making it for a 14-year-old a pretty hard-hitting few days. But somehow I drew strength from the whole episode. The visuals of that together was at Wembley from the Albion dragged me through, and here, as a season ticket holder at the Amex now, 42 years later, I realised just how important that struggle in the fade of adversity mirrored my own at the time. The FA Cup is something, therefore, that remains a life-turning point for me, and he sent that message anonymously, or he or she has sent that message anonymously. Wow, I mean, what an example of football being so much more than 90 minutes.
Exactly, yeah, where the texter said there, like the strength and togetherness helped them get through a really, really tough time in their lives. And you, I think, mentioned it was 4-0 in the replay, wasn't it? You mentioned there. The first game, 2-2, every Brighton fan remembers Gordon Smith.
Yeah.
Where if he scores at the end, Brighton win the FA Cup.
That's the moment,
and
isn't
he was a brilliant player, but he'll be remembered for that moment.
Yeah.
Because I think the commentator was either John Watson or Barry David, and they said Smith must score.
Yeah.
You think, it's easy for you to say, mate. There's under 1,000 people in here.
It's like that. It's at the up for grabs now moment.
Yeah.
It's one of those football sliding doors moments, which I'd love to talk to you about, but again, sadly, time is not on our side on this Sunday afternoon on talkSPORT. Now, Perry, this will be up your street. Arsenal have named 2 15-year-olds in the squad for their tour of Asia. Max Dowman and Marley Salmon are in the squad for the tour of Singapore and Hong Kong. Dowman, who doesn't turn 16 till December, he's been training with the senior squad for some time. He travelled with the team to their winter training camp in January. However, owing to Premier League rules, he couldn't make his debut last season as he was named in the Arsenal under-15 squad. Mikel Arteta came in for a bit of criticism, didn't he, for Ethan Nwaneri getting his debut as a 15-year-old. It feels like he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. I mean, 15 does feel a bit young for me, even when we think of footballers in terms of Michael Owen, Wayne Rooney, remember the name and everything else. Is it unfair to put players like Dowman, like Salmon, on the world stage this early?
Absolutely not. If you're good enough, you're old enough. It's that simple. I don't care what industry you're in. Age should never hold you back. Just because they say you're a bit too young, you haven't got the experience. If you don't give people experiences, they're never going to be experienced. And with talking about Max Dowman, I was lucky enough, I'd heard all of the noise around Max Dowman, and people telling me at Arsenal and even from the outside how fantastic, what a player this player is going to be, different level or not. And you think, all right, calm down, he's 15. And I was lucky enough to do Arsenal under-18s against Man United under-18s in the FA Cup semi-final at the end of last season. Yeah. So he was 15 playing against 18-year-olds, and there's a massive difference in development from 15 to 18, right? he was on a different... I'd never seen a 15-year-old that good, ever. And I've played with some brilliant young players when I was at Arsenal, like players coming through, like Paul Merson coming through. I wasn't there when he's 15, but when he's come through 17 and 18, you know, Super Kevin Campbell coming through as well at a young age. In that under-18s game, he's playing against the Fletcher twin, like Jack and Tyler Fletcher.
Yeah.
Obviously, Darren Fletcher's two boys, randomly one captain England, one captain Scotland.
Of course, yeah.
But they're very, very good players, and 18. He was on 3 different levels to anybody else on the pitch. He was that good. And there's a clip on YouTube, you can say he gets brought down for a penalty where he picks up the edge of own box. And he's got a low centre of gravity, but he's got something you can't teach, is when he dribbles, he stop, start. What he does is engages a player, slows down, speeds up, engages. That is something that is born naturally in him. And he's at, I won't say the best because people say I'm biased, he's at one of the best clubs to be at to nurture young talent. If you think Bukayo Saka coming through, then you mentioned about Nwaneri, you see Lewis Skelly coming through. So they have a brilliant programme going from Hale End all the way through, not just on your football development and tactics, on your physical development, because you all develop at different stages, right? And the players that I mentioned, Nwaneri, Skelly, Saka, they're not actually big and tall, but when they're engagement on the ball, they've got upper body strength where they don't get knocked off the ball. You look at Lewis Skelly, who's brilliant when he's brilliant take with his back to goal, and he turns and he swivels, he holds players off. Bukayo Saka never gets knocked off the ball. When you're saying the only thing that stopped Max Dowman for getting to what I would say the elite level, and in Arsenal's first team and going on playing international football, whatever, it'll be one of two things. Either he gets a bad injury or it'll be his attitude. Because he has everything. Honestly, Fletch, trust me, I know I hadn't seen a player that good at 15. And obviously going away with the first team, he'll be integrated there, then he'll come out, he'll play for the under-21s, then he'll come out, then you can bet your life in the Carabao Cup. I wouldn't be surprised if he develops on the path that they think he's going to, that he'll be on the bench for Arsenal in the next probably 3 or 4 months.
And we'll be saying, remember the name, Max Dowman.
And Arsenal fans should be. And talk about Marley Salmon, obviously, centre-half. He played in the same game. Again, his development will be different because he has to be physically strong because he's a centre-half.
Of course.
So he'll have a different sort of development path. But I'm all for... apart from when I was playing football, I didn't want the youngers coming through taking my place. But say, if your talent warrants you to be in it, age shouldn't make any difference.
If you're good enough, you're old enough. That's Perry Groves on talkSPORT on the Sunday session. Let's head back to Portrush, get an open update with Rupert Bell.
Scotty Scheffler now 7 clear. A beautiful birdie at the par 4 fourth. Hit his approach shot to 7 feet. And what he does so well is regularly holding from that distance and maybe even a bit more. Meanwhile, his playing partner, Ho Tang Lee, well, unfortunately, he's dropped his second shot of the round. Did get a birdie at the first, but the Chinese player has struggled since then, maybe just in awe of watching his player partner serenely going about his business. Well, those on 9 under now include Rory McIlroy. He's just got a birdie at the 5th, but his challenge just feels like a forlorn one despite being roared on by the huge galleries here at Portrush. Ricky Fowler's the leader in the clubhouse after a 65 at 8 under par. Bryson DeChambeau is just finished, and this has been an extraordinary recovery from Bryson DeChambeau because he's now in a tie for the second. He was 7 over par after the first round. Well, he's now finished at 9 under par, which means he's 16 under par for the last 54 holes, which would have given him a share for the lead if he shot a level par round on day one. So a remarkable response. It is very benign conditions here, which he has exploited. Matt Fitzpatrick's just got back to 9 under as well, but they're all just placing for the minor honours. Will Scotty Scheffler beat or match Tiger Woods' winning record in 2000 when he won by 8 shots?
The Open Update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Everything for your car, all in one place.
Live commentary continues over on talkSPORT 2. Next on the Sunday session.
American Life.
Thank you to Lucy, the Celtic fan, for suggesting Madonna, American Life. That was for the Donald Trump story, of course, on Sounds of the Weekend. Donald Trump pocketing a Chelsea Club World Cup medal. Keep them coming. 81089 on the text, 03717 223344 on the WhatsApp or voice note. Next, we'll be looking back on that victory, that overwhelming victory for Alexander Usyk last night with our very own Spencer Oliver.
just what I did it for.
Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know, here's the tale. Tennis has its roots in 12th century France when people used to make balls from all sorts. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur and even human hair. Uniformity was found centuries later when people started making balls out of something called vulcanized rubber, invented in the US. But the balls kept on breaking, so a British lawyer, who also loved tennis, suggested they put a flannel covering on the outside, and thus the tennis ball as we know it was born. One problem, it was either white or black. And when the controller of BBC Two, Sir David Attenborough, decided Wimbledon would be shown in colour on the BBC in 1967, no one could actually see the balls on telly. So the International Tennis Federation went away and created a new colour called Optic Yellow, which would show up without the need for a 4K LED display. Not that anyone had that in the 1960s, of course. Since then, all tennis balls have been covered in that material and have their trademark colour for that exact reason. Amateur tennis players and dogs worldwide are forever grateful. You could say the ITF aced it.
It is the Sunday session on talkSPORT with me, Ben Fletcher, Arsenal legend Perry Groves sat next to me, and we've been talking about Bob Bubka this afternoon. Sadly passed away this morning. talkSPORT legend, with a capital L. Icon would probably be a more fitting word, to be fair. Thank you to Ink Revenge on X, who's tweeted me directly at Ben A Fletcher. He said a lovely tribute on air. As a non-golf fan, it always struck him how when he was reporting, it wasn't just those velvety tones he was seduced by. He'd be interested in his actual words. He even taught him a little bit. A gift and a master of his craft. Rest in peace. Absolutely spot on, wasn't it? Like we were saying earlier on, Perry, like a man who you didn't have to like golf to just enjoy and listen to what he was saying, Mr. Bubka.
He was brilliant at giving you his knowledge that he'd learned over the years without actually forcing it on you.
Yeah.
You know, he just had that very nice laconic style, didn't he? And like the accent, you a broad American accent, but he made you hang on every word, and that is something that you can't teach.
100%. Absolutely, it was a gift. Bob Bubka, who we're remembering today on talkSPORT, and head to the website. Sean O'Brien, our golf reporter, has done a lovely tribute to Mr. Bubka on today, his passing at the age of 83. Now, let's talk boxing. And Alexander Usyk further cemented his place as one of boxing's greats. He stopped Daniel Dubois in round 5 to become a 2-time undisputed heavyweight champion, a masterclass in front of 90,000 fans at Wembley, dashing Dubois' dreams of being the first Briton to unify the division in the four-belt era. Looking back at that fight right now, a man who's there for talkSPORT, our boxing pundit Spencer Oliver. Spencer, very good afternoon to you.
Ben, Perry, how are you both doing?
Hello, Spence.
Good, thank you. Lovely to see you. I must ask you before we get underway, by the way, who won the battle between, just to let you peek behind the curtain here at talkSPORT Towers, Spencer Oliver and the big boss at talkSPORT, Denny Morris, had hot dog versus beef burger in the canteen last week. What was the outcome of that?
I think I might have lost that one, mate. I think I might have lost that one inside the distance, actually. More people seem to go for the burgers than the hot dogs. But, I was trying my best, boys.
Yeah, but Spence, you'll learn from that defeat. You'll bounce back.
Well, Perry, that's what it is, mate. Sometimes the defeat is the moulding of a fighter, and they come back better, bigger, stronger. And I think that's, I've got to take that on board and come again.
You'll come back with a plant-based burger.
Exactly. give the people what they want. Spencer, listen, as much as I'd love to talk about that particular battle, a bit behind the curtain here at talkSPORT Towers, that fight last night, I mean, Alexander Usyk is a force of nature. He's not just a boxer, he's a country. He is a force. And he demonstrated last night that he's the best heavyweight boxer around, in my opinion, and exactly why he's got all the titles and the accolades. He's unstoppable.
Absolutely. Listen, we're talking about a guy here that's maybe not just a generational great, an all-time great. I think that what he stands for, not just inside the ring, but what he stands for outside the ring as well. He's a very infectious person. You listen to him speak. He's very knowledgeable. He's very funny. He's an all-rounder. And what we saw last night was something exceptional. I think that. Yeah, Alexander Usyk is great at sort of taking on data when he's boxed people before, coming back and doing it better, and he delivered that last night. He showed that against Daniel Dubois, who many thought, including myself, could have been Dubois' time. I thought that Dubois might, timing is everything in boxing, and you looked at it and you go, Alexander Usyk, 38 years of age, showed no signs of decline, but you just felt that it might be Daniel Dubois' time, and Usyk went out there and put on a masterclass. It was probably the best I've ever seen in box, actually, and that was just down to a lot of people talking about how poor Daniel Dubois was, but I think that was all down to Alexander Usyk and his brilliance. I mean, look, he's going to go down for me as one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. And that's including everyone. Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman. That's a big shout, I know. But what I'm saying is this guy has done it and he's delivered. And, yeah, he's an exceptional fighter.
Thing is, Spence, I was watching the fight and I must admit, I didn't think in the first couple that Dubois... I was listening to the commentary. I didn't think he was as bad as what the commentators were saying. I just thought right, he's trying to sort of ease his way into the fight. The only thing that I was looking at Dubois, there was about 4 or 5 occasions where he pushed him back and he pushed Usyk back and he had him in the corner. And you're thinking, right, now you've got to believe in yourself and unleash. But I think Usyk's reputation went before him because you could tell there was a hesitancy there where he thought, oh no, I can't, because one, he's going to get out of it, and two, he's going to hit me on the counter.
Yeah, Perry, look, I was in and around that camp for like sort of 14 weeks with Daniel Dubois, so I knew what their game plan was. I knew what they were trying to implement into the fight, and I think that if they could have succeeded with the tactics that they had, it would have been it could have been a much more difficult fight for Alexander Usyk. And the game plan was to bully him. I'd done a great interview actually with Lennox Lewis. That's on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. And Lennox talks about the comparisons of when he beat Evander Holyfield, who was a cruiserweight coming up. So obviously he had that speed, that movement, the punch output that Holyfield had. And Lennox said, I had to impose my strength, my power, my physicalities, and punch with him when he punched. And that's how I beat him. I switched the attacks to the body. Daniel knew all this, and it was a great breakdown from Lennox there. And he goes, if Daniel can do this, it's a difficult fight. Lennox actually tipped Daniel to win as well if he could implement this into the game plan, and he couldn't do it. And you're right there. You're spot on with that. He had him where he needed him. He would move him back, and then when the opportunity was there, he just never let his hands go. Now, is that down to the brilliance of Usyk, or was it down to the fact that Dubois maybe slightly too hesitant? I think it was down to the brilliance of Usyk, because even when Usyk was in the corner and he's got his hands up and he's covering, you could see that he was sort of like one move ahead. And every time Dubois tried to do something, Usyk made him pay for it.
You wonder whether they're showing him maybe a little bit too much respect. Spencer, in terms of what happens next for both fighters, I guess for Usyk it's how much longer he's prepared to carry on. No suggestion he should retire anytime soon, but you wonder, as with Tyson Fury, once you've achieved everything, then what? And from Daniel Dubois' point of view, like yourself in the burger versus hot dog battle, he's got to pick himself up, dust himself down and go again. And the wider question is there anyone in the division that can stop Usyk right now?
Well, let me ask the latter question first. That Alexander Usyk, is there anyone that can stop him right now? I don't think there is, mate. I think that he showed that last night. You know, you don't beat Anthony Joshua. Like, undisputed, he's a 3-time undisputed world champion, 2-time heavyweight undisputed world champion. I mean, them accolades are phenomenal, you know, and you look at who he's beat: Tyson Fury twice, Joshua twice, now Dubois twice, and you just go Derek Chisora, and you just go, who's going to beat him? You know, who is that guy? I think the guy that deserves a shot next, by the way, is Joseph Parker. He's the guy that's been waiting, and I think the WBO have mandated that fight. So unless Alexander Usyk vacates the belt, he will have to fight Joseph Parker next. That'll be an interesting fight. That's probably his biggest challenge for him right now out there. Parker's got some great momentum with him as well, coming off those wins against Zhale Zhang and Deontay Wilder. So he deserves that opportunity. But the answer to your question is, I don't think anyone can beat him out there right now. Spencer. I don't think anyone will ever beat him. I think he'll retire undefeated. I think he'll fight one more time, and that probably is possibly against Joseph Parker. But where do you find the motivation, by the way? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you've achieved what you've achieved, you're 38 years of age, but there's no signs of him retiring. You know, he's sort of been quite vocal about that. But you go, where do you find that motivation?
That's the thing, and knowing that the only way potentially is down. Spencer, stay right there for just a moment, because talkSPORT's Gareth A. Davies had the privilege of jumping into the ring after the fight to speak with Mr. Usyk himself. He asked the 2-time undisputed world champion who could be next to take him on.
Listen, I don't know, because now I want to think what next, who my next opponent, because now I have time and think about my career and the next fight.
There we go. So, Spencer, on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel last night, the watch-along had nearly 1 million views. That, a sold-out Wembley, any question about the strength of boxing being weak's been answered by that, surely. Strength to strength.
It's insane, isn't it? So, you know, like you just have to process this. You go, 1 million views. So you had 1 million people through the night watching us commentate on the fight. They can't see the fight, they're just watching us commentate on the fight. That's insane. It really is. That people are obviously loving our commentary, that's for sure. I think what you get with talkSPORT and our commentary is it's not biased. So, you know, we say it as we see it, and I think people appreciate that. I think a lot of people actually listen to the commentary or watch it whilst the telly's on with the sound off.
Yeah.
And also as well, Spence, it's about the fights.
Yeah.
It's about the fights, because there's too many boxers that have either dodged, you know, the fights they should be having at the peak of their careers. So we're seeing fights now that every boxing fan wants to see.
Perry, how good is it? You know, like, look, you know, through my lifetime, the politics of the sport have always got in the way. It's either different broadcasters, the champion and the challenger, you know, arguing over a 60-40 split and who should get what and where the money should go, and fights not happening for that. And I think that what we're blessed with now, you know, with the investment of Riyadh season, Turkey Al Sheikh coming involved, taking the politics away from it, different broadcasters now out of it, and, you know, it's all under one umbrella. You go, we're getting the fights that we've always craved to do. You get the best versus the best, and, you know, we're fortunate, and long may it continue, because I think that's why boxing fans are growing again, because they're appreciating that. You know, the politics are not there anymore, and we are getting the fights that we all crave, and it's not going to be one of those where you're going, I wonder if Lennox Lewis would have boxed Riddick Bowe, who would have won that fight? I wonder, like, it's one of those fights that never happened through the politics, and it always leaves you guessing who would have won the fight. We're not getting that now. We're getting the best versus the best, which is a blessing for all of us.
And talkSPORT is the place to come for precisely that thing. Spencer Oliver, talkSPORT legend, thank you for joining us here on the Sunday session this afternoon.
Cheers, Spence.
Let's head to Portrush now and catch up with Rupert Bell. What's the latest on the final day of the Open?
Well, we're at the 6th hole for Scotty Scheffler, and there was a moment people thought, well, he might drop a shot here because he missed the par 3 green. He had a difficult chip up over the bank, but he got the ball to with the 17 feet. But what he's been doing all week, he's just drilling putt after putt, and there was a real fist pump after that because he is 7 shots clear of the chasing pack. Chris Cotterup having another fabulous week, just 7 days after he lifted the Scottish Open title last weekend at the Renaissance Club. Haotang Li, fair credit to him, got back to 10 under par. He just parred that 6th hole. They'll be heading down the par 5 7th, which is plenty of birdie opportunities for Scheffler. In the clubhouse, Bryson DeChambeau after a 64 at 9 under. Rory McIlroy, well, he's at 9 under playing the 7th, and Harris English is also on that mark. Elsewhere, Tyrrell Hatton down at 8 under along with Matt Fitzpatrick, just playing for pride it would almost seem. But Scotty Scheffler, my goodness me, he is a putting machine at the moment, leads by 7, and of course you can hear how he's getting on talkSPORT 2.
The Open Update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed.
And up to the World Match Play darts in Blackpool with talkSPORT's Ian Danter.
2 seeds have already gone home this afternoon in the first round of the World Match Play. Damon Heta knocked out by Andrew Gilding 12-10, and Dirk van Dijvenbode has just seen off the 2019 winner Rob Cross by 10 legs to 8. And there's another seed in trouble right now because Jermaine Wattermina, the machine gun from the Netherlands, who's never got past round 1 at these championships in 4 previous attempts, finds himself 6 legs to 2 up in a race to 10 against the 2021 champion and former world champion Peter Wright. He took out a 138 early on Wattermina to show his intent. He's been hitting maximums and he's got snakebite in all sorts of trouble here. He will never have a better chance, you would say, to advance to round 2 of the World Match Play for the first time, Wattermina. After this, we will have the final game of the afternoon session, which is Dave Chisnell from just down the road in Morecambe, up against Mike De Decker, the Grand Prix winner from last year from Belgium, and then an evening session tonight which will feature the world champion Luke Littler amongst others. But this Wattermina Wright game and the Chisnell De Decker game that follows continues over on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel.
Thank you, Dan. Next on the Sunday session, American Nightmare. That's the theme tune of WWE wrestler Cody Rhodes, and that's for Donald Trump, one of our sounds of the weekend, who of course pocketed a Chelsea Club World Cup medal. What's he going to do with that? Wear it. Imagine that in a press conference next time he sees Macron or Keir Starmer.
I love it, I really do.
Yeah, I love the Chelsea. I've always been such a huge fan. Not my best impression, I'll give you that. Do stay with us on the Sunday session on talkSPORT. Ben Fletcher and Perry Groves will be looking at some stranger stories next.
Sounds of the weekend on the Sunday session on talkSPORT.
Yeah, a little bit of Steelers.
Oh yeah, a bit of head bopping. We like that, don't we?
What
Steelers
film was
will.
this?
I'm not entirely sure. Could be one of many.
It was Quentin Tarantino films, wasn't it? Stuck in the middle with you.
It may have been. I've gone blank. This one, by the way, is Vankelmut, I guess is the correct pronunciation, and Emma Louise, My Head is a Jungle. That's from Sheldon, the Villa fan. And the first song, Steelers Will, Stuck in the Middle of You, from Kim in Coventry. That was relating to the sounds of the weekend. Of course, Donald Trump nicking the Club World Cup medal off the Chelsea, what would you call it, parade stand. And the second story, of course, being Harry Redknapp potentially going back into the jungle later this year with I'm a Celeb. Keep them coming. 81089 on the text. 50p plus normal sending charges applies. You can WhatsApp us 03717 223344.
Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir
Just
Dogs.
come back to
Do
me.
you know, I've never seen it. All
Brilliant
the way
film.
through. That's
Brilliant
mad,
film.
isn't it? Great films you've never seen. There's a texter. Maybe for another day if I'm invited back. For now, though, here on the Sunday session on talkSPORT, it is time for this.
Stranger Things on the Sunday session on talkSPORT.
Oh, I like this. Eerie music.
So this one's all right, is it?
Yeah, I like this one. And it is eerie down here on the second floor, by the way. When I've presented shows overnight and you kind of think all these creaking studios, cameras moving, it's all very odd. So the perfect backdrop for this little feature. Now, Swansea City fans, get ready to drop it like it's hot, because Snoop Dogg might just be eyeing up a stake in the Swans. Yes, you heard that correctly. The hip-hop legend, global icon, has reportedly expressed interest in investing in the Welsh club. He's even been in early talks with the current ownership group. It wouldn't be the first time that Snoop has flirted with football either. He's a known fan of the beautiful game and has previously backed the likes of Celtic and Norwich. Norwich! Imagine that. Now, Swansea in his sights, and while nothing is confirmed yet, the idea of Snoop rocking up at the Liberty Stadium in a club scarf is already sending fans wild. From rap royalty to championship terraces, stranger things have happened, haven't they? And I can back this up slightly in that I'm sure I read recently he wanted to open up a burger van somewhere in England and do burgers for football fans at half times. I feel like it was Everton, definitely somewhere in the north, but this would not surprise me one bit.
So do you think Snoop would like the grass at Swansea short or long?
Well, that's exactly the thing, isn't it?
The ultraviolet lights probably get a bit of work, wouldn't they, I think?
Well, also, he's got a stadium there ready-made to do some gigs. Great, isn't it? Perry, what you got for us? He's not a silly boy.
Wrexham's pre-season tour down under has taken that unexpected twist, with striker Jack Marriott now grounded in Australia after an emergency appendix op. The 30-year-old had been getting valuable minutes under his belt in friendlies against Melbourne Victory and Sydney FC, but was suddenly sidelined with a bout of appendicitis. He has since gone under the knife, and while the op was a success, Marriott now faces a frustrating wait before he's cleared to fly home. NHS advice says no long-haul travel intensive activity, he's meant to say, for at least 2 weeks, and for a pro footballer that could mean even longer. Marriott will now miss Wrexham's final pre-season clash in New Zealand and is in a race against the clocks be fit for their championship curtain raiser against Southampton on August the 9th. Not exactly the pre-season he had in mind. Can you imagine just saying, I've still got a little bit of a pain just on my left-hand side?
Wouldn't happen in your day, Perry. Wouldn't happen in my day.
Strap him up, exactly, yeah, get an injection in, get him home.
I just got it, by the way, and I think he'd like the grass to be long.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry, that just hit. Listen, the world's biggest football stadium is being built for the 2030 World Cup. Bizarrely, it won't be hosting the final. Morocco, one of the three joint hosts alongside Spain and Portugal, constructing the jaw-dropping 115,000 capacity Grand Stade Hassan II, complete with botanical gardens, 32 staircases, and a massive leisure complex. That's like one of those adverts you see on the telly, isn't it? Complete with botanical gardens, 32 staircases, and a massive leisure complex. Set to be finished by 2027, it was tipped as a front runner for the final of the tournament, which will also mark the World Cup's 100th anniversary. But according to the Spanish outlet Marca, the honour is now going to the Santiago Bernabeu in Madrid, despite its smaller 85,000 seat capacity. Real Madrid's iconic ground reportedly won the final hosting rights ahead of both Barcelona's revamped Nou Camp and Morocco's mega stadium. So while Benzema gets the world's biggest football arena, Madrid gets the big night, as
so
it maybe should.
115,000 capacity Grand Stade Hassan II, right? Is that ever going to be ever filled?
Well, presumably not, because
they would have built it for this, wouldn't they? For the World Cup final.
Yeah.
On the pretense that they were going to get like the World Cup final there.
Yeah.
So it's probably never ever going to get
unless they do gigs there. Maybe Coldplay will go there.
Oasis.
Just be careful if you're going to a Coldplay gig in the near future. Oasis, that would be the one, wouldn't it?
And in our industry, the mics are always live.
Yeah.
The cameras are always on.
Exactly.
Just remember.
Got to be careful.
Exactly.
Perry, finally from you.
And finally, Manchester United are rolling out the red carpet and the red clippers at their brand new £50 million training ground, complete with a dedicated barber shop just for the players. Yeah, right. I haven't made that up, right? Set to open next month, the ultra-modern facility is part of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's mission to bring United's infrastructure up to scratch after Cristiano Ronaldo famously slammed the club's outdated setup. Designed by the same architects, planning United's future 100,000-seater Wembley of the North, the new Carrington revamp is very much five-star stuff. When Ruben Amorim and his squad return from the US tour on August the 4th, they'll walk into a performance paradise kitted out with cutting-edge equipment, a chill-out zone, and yes, their very own in-house salon. It's believed to be the first UK training ground with a full-on hairdresser spot. The only question is now, will United hire an official club barber or let the players bring in their own? I think there's been enough cuts already, hasn't there, Man United?
Exactly.
They're going to trim the playing staff?
And it'll be basic cuts, you'd have thought. I mean, no pun intended, but it'll be 3 back and sides all round, I think. None of this skin fade, expensive rubbish.
And trim the playing staff, wouldn't they? So.
Well, absolutely right. Very good. Perry, thank you very much indeed for now. That was Stranger Things on the Sunday session. Let's catch up with Rupert Bell, head back to Royal Portrush and get an open update. Rupert, good afternoon.
Yeah, welcome back to Royal Portrush as we watch Scotty Scheffler go about what appears to be a victory lap here at Royal Portrush. It's 3 birdies in the first 6 holes has moved him to 17 under par. That's 7 clear of the chasing pack, which is headed 4 golfers on that mark. Harris English playing the 9th, having just birdied the 8th. And Chris Gotterup, well, he's having a fantastic 2 weeks. He's at 10 under. Rory McIlroy's just got a birdie at the par 5 7th. And Ho Tang Lee is also on that mark at 10 under par, and Lee and Scheffler now playing that very birdieable par 5 7th, so there's every chance that Scheffler could get to 18 under par. Of the others out on the course, well, Bryson DeChambeau with his 64, he's in the clubhouse at 9 under. Xander Schauffele, the defending champion, has done pretty well this week. 9 under he is at the turn, and Matt Fitzpatrick has just got back to 9 under par. And Tommy Fleetwood, well, it was a nothing sort of week in the end for him, but he's finished with his best round of the week, a 67, and that means he's finished on 7 under par, which is 10 behind our leader, the world #1, Scotty Scheffler.
The Open Update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Build your own car deal, all with a few clicks.
Live commentary continues from Royal Portrush over on talkSPORT 2. Next on the Sunday session. Now we're talking. Thanks to Kelly, the Man United fan. Jungle Fever by Stevie Wonder. And that's the Harry Redknapp story. He's potentially got jungle fever heading back down under. What can you do there that he hasn't done already?
What? For the second time?
Yeah.
You'll probably want to do more challenges, because when you first go in, you're like, oh no, I'm all right.
Yeah.
So Harry's probably just thought, I'm a bit fed up now.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of time on my hands. Sandri's missus just said, look, you could be been gone for like good 3 weeks. Go on, get out of my hair.
He's got a lift in his house. I'm sure somebody said to me he's got a lift. So I guess it must get a bit boring going
now
up and
he's
down
got a docking port as well, hasn't he? Because like, that catamaran crashed into his back garden, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Down at Sandbanks.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Perry, for the time being. Arsenal legend Perry Groves alongside me, Ben Fletcher, on the Sunday session on talkSPORT. Do stay with us. Next up, we'll be looking at moves for Marcus Rashford and Brian Mbumo.
to the Tractor Boys, the Eagles to the Seagulls, Gunners, Bees, Hammers and Magpies, Premier League teams have got a load of crazy nicknames. Ever wondered where they came from? Let's start with Everton. They're dubbed the Toffees, but why? Well, because when the club was formed, just down the road there were two local toffee shops. Ye Ancient Everton Toffee House and Mother Noblet's Toffee Shop were big fan favourites. Next, they say if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, and that's exactly what Ipswich Town did when it came to their nickname. The term Tractor Boys used to be chanted by their opponents as a way of putting the team down for their farming background. But during one game back in the late 90s, Ipswich were 1-0 up and they decided to flip the script. 1-0 to the Tractor Boys, they sang, and a new nickname was born. Let's head to Leicester, famous for more than just a red, well, orangey cheese and Jamie Vardy. Leicestershire's also the birthplace of fox hunting, hence the Foxes. Next up, turns out apples are not the only fruit that don't fall far from the tree. Bournemouth's nickname, the Cherries, comes from the fact the club's stadium was originally built right next to a bunch of cherry orchards. This next story actually involves two club nicknames. It started with Crystal Palace. They were having an absolute nightmare run back in the early 70s. They'd been relegated after a terrible spell and manager Malcolm Allison decided enough was enough. He wanted a new nickname, something strong, fast and destined for success. Something exactly like an eagle. But there's more to this one. Brighton were in search of a nickname too, and Palace finally gave them what they needed. In a heated match between the two back in 1976, Palace fans began chanting, "Eagles, Eagles," and some clever Brighton fans came up with the perfect reply, "Seagulls, Seagulls." Not all club nicknames have a crazy story though. Take the Gunners. That just comes from the fact a group of munitions workers in the Royal Arsenal factory in Woolwich set up the club in 1886. On the flip side, some nicknames seem simple, but there's a bit more to them, like West Ham. The Hammers is actually nothing to do with the ham part of the name. It comes from the fact the club used to be called Thames Ironworks FC and was made up of workmen and shipbuilders. So next time the away end's chanting their crazy nickname, you'll now know exactly where it came from.
Good afternoon, you are listening to the Sunday session on talkSPORT with me, Ben Fletcher, and former Arsenal winger Perry Groves. First up, we'll go back to Royal Portrush, and the very latest comes from talkSPORT's Rupert Bell.
7 holes into his final round. Scotty Scheffler didn't get a birdie at the 7th, but he's 17 under par. That's 7 clear of the chasing pack. Rory McIlroy amongst the 5 golfers at 10 under par, but I think they're just playing for the minor honours.
And what's occurring at Winter Gardens at the World Match Play Darts, talkSPORT's Ian Danter.
2 seedy players went out last night. 2 have already gone this afternoon in Damon Heta and Rob Cross, and a third may be about to join them in this afternoon session, because Peter Wright, the 2021 champion and number 15 seed, is 8 legs to 6 down in a race to 10 to the machine gun from the Netherlands, Jermaine Wattimena, who has never made it to round 2 of the World Match Play. It's nip and tuck. You can find out how Wattimena gets on over on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel right now.
Thank you very much indeed, talkSPORT's Ian Danter. This is the Sunday session on talkSPORT. And on the birthday, in effect, of the FA Cup, which was magicked up today in 1871, we're asking you for your favourite FA Cup memories, defining moments, and you've not disappointed. Alan's been in touch. Thank you, Alan. Good afternoon, gents. Really enjoying the show. Thank you. Cheers, Alan. Give you that 20 quid later. FA Cup memories. Probably his first, aged 8, the 5-minute final. Arsenal 3, Manchester United 2. That was in 1979. His dad was heartbroken when United levelled so late in the game and walked out the house. But then Brady to Ricks, Sunderland at the far post. Beautiful. And yes, I cried. God bless Al, the Arsenal fan. Thank you for that, Al.
Al, do you know the most relieved Arsenal player that day?
Go on.
Steve Walford. Steve Walford was only one sub in those days. He came on, Arsenal 2-0 up. 20 minutes later, it's 2-2, right? And as a player, you're thinking, I'm going to get blamed for this. And if you see when Rixie crosses it the far post and the Sunderland score, Gary Bailey comes out and he's waving one of his mates up in the crowd, right? The nearest player to him, trying to catch Alan Sunderland, who loses it completely, is Steve Walford.
Oh,
so
no.
that's like relief and joy in the same little segment that you've got. Honestly, Steve Wolf was like, thank God for that. He's got me a bang out of trouble here.
The agony and the ecstasy. There you go, Al. Darren's been in touch as well on the WhatsApp 03717 223344. My favourite FA Cup experience was when the mighty Port Vale knocked out Spurs in 1988. The night before the game, the club had the local fire brigade absolutely soak the pitch. It worked a treat. We won 2-1. That's proper housery, that, even back then.
Exactly. That is what the FA Cup is all about. So you walk the pitch so that it's obviously it's soft and soggy and the ball doesn't zip around as quick as what the top players want it to, and you just put it in the corners. Happy
Beautiful.
days.
Keep them coming. 81089 on the text, 50p plus normal sending charges apply, or WhatsApp us on the aforementioned 03717 223344. So the British and Irish Lions take a 1-0 lead in the series, with next Saturday's match at the MCG against the Aussies being an opportunity for them to earn rugby immortality and their first series win in 12 years. While for the Wallabies, it's do or die if they're to keep the series alive. You can hear that blockbuster unfold live and exclusively here on talkSPORT next Saturday. Award-winning coverage. It will be when we win awards for it, no doubt whatsoever in my mind. Next Saturday with our coverage starting from 10 a.m. However, before that, the Lions have the not-so-small matter of a bruising encounter with the First Nations and Pacifica 15 live and exclusively on talkSPORT 2 on Tuesday. Kick-off for that one is 11. talkSPORT is, of course, your home of Lions rugby. And I would like to think also football. And we turn our attention now to Marcus Rashford potentially joining Barcelona on loan. Well, no potentially about it. Deal's been agreed with Barcelona to take Marcus Rashford on a loan deal with an opportunity to purchase him permanently. The 27-year-old has agreed to take a €10 million pay cut, Diddums, while United won't be paying anything towards his salary. Perry, so much has been said about Marcus Rashford, his desire in the last couple of seasons. He went to Villa. We saw glimpses of the Marcus Rashford that we all fell in love with when he was coming through the ranks at Old Trafford. My view on him has always been he was a victim of circumstance. I think he's at a club that is, I don't like to use the word poisonous or toxic, but clearly major problems on the pitch, major problems off it. Maybe that affected him. He does have a bit of a get-out-of-jail card, maybe on that basis. But the fact that he went to Villa showed us a little bit. To be rewarded with a move to the defending La Liga champions, taking a pay cut, this is really an opportunity for him to show real desire. Already taking the pay cut, but he will have to cut it at this level.
He ain't taking a pay cut.
You know,
no way, Pedro. No, they're just going to pay. What, you're on £325,000 a week?
Yeah.
So they're just going to pay his salary for this season. So it's a loan with a view to permanent transfer.
Yeah.
You said there about maybe he should. He was one of the reasons there was a toxic culture at Manchester United. He was one of the ones. There was a toxic culture, but he was one of the main reasons because his attitude on the pitch was awful. Now, we don't know. I always say, like, there's the footballer and the human being, and we don't know what's going on off the pitch with the human being, but every Man United fan said his body language was awful. He was like he didn't want to be there, and he made the excuse about, well, yeah, it does mean a lot to me and in my heart because I'm a homegrown player. Well, that's actually make you run around more.
Yeah.
And he wasn't running about. He wasn't putting the effort in. You said there, obviously, he went to Villa, and he did show glimpses. I think the PSG game in the second half, especially, that he came to life. And he made Consa's goal, and he came to life. But if you look at the stats when he was at Villa, he only started, I think, 4 Premier League games out of 10. He started all of the Champions League games, and he scored 4 goals in 17. 2 of those were against Preston in the FA Cup. So at 27 years of age, he doesn't really looking back on his career and having what ifs.
Of course.
And what if, because at 27, you're at the peak of your powers. We talked about, maturing.
So as a striker.
Yeah, and you're talking about maturing physically, right? And obviously the experience that you have. So he has a chance. This is at the elite level. This is the last chance saloon. Not saloon and salon as you're going to get your hair cut, but last chance saloon, because I think that playing for Barcelona, that could suit him in La Liga, because in 80 or 90% of the games Barcelona play, he hasn't got to work hard off the ball because they know that the teams they're playing against, they're going to give him the ball back anyway. So as a forward, he's going to have a lot of opportunities, and it's where they play. Obviously, you've got Yamal, you've got Rafinha, you've got Torres, obviously Lewandowski, like centre forward. So it all depends where they play. But I think Teddy Sheringham had an interview in the paper this week, didn't he? And he said that thought that it was an outrage that he hasn't earned the move to Barcelona because it's a step up. I think Barcelona and Man United are as big as each other. Do you know what I mean? Around the world. Exactly. Real Madrid is that one above, but those two clubs, so I don't need to step up. It's a sideways step, but at an unbelievable elite level. So this is his last chance.
It is, and it'll get found out pretty quickly if he doesn't turn it on. You know, the defending La Liga champions are not going to be particularly impressed if he turns up and shows glimpses of that bad attitude at Old Trafford. I still think that no one in that squad under Erik ten Hag were particularly good. But you're right, for a homegrown player to act the way he did, you would expect a little bit more. But maybe that's just insight into how bad things were and are at Old Trafford.
It's your own personal responsibility effect. It's down to, no matter how toxic the culture is, when you're on the pitch. Look, this isn't. I always say, you said about players being tired and whatever, which I don't buy into whatsoever, right? Because it's not a proper job. You're getting paid to do your hobby, run around with your mates. There's pressure in the games. You have to be mentally strong, right? 100%. Even if the manager's not very good, or you don't agree with the manager, or some of the players' attitudes ain't great, you have an individual responsibility to always give 100%.
Yeah.
And you look yourself in the mirror and you can go, all right, didn't work for me today, but I couldn't have tried any more. 2.5 seasons at Manchester United, it's no way that he could say that.
No.
And he tried to use that I'm a homegrown player. How dare you question my attitude and how you just question my desire. But just because you're homegrown doesn't mean to say that you can't be questioned.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe he sort of believed his own hype a little bit to that end. One player on his way into Old Trafford is Brian Mbumo. United are going to save around £20 million, we're told, on Rashford's wages. That goes some way, you could argue, to offset the deal for Brian Mbumo coming in from Brentford. One or two have said they've overpaid for him, 65 million plus 6 million in add-ons. We heard a lot about this deal, didn't we, in Mbumo to United, and how United didn't want to be bullied into paying more. In recent windows, there was an argument, Jason Wilcox, the director of football, had perhaps been bullied a little bit into paying a lot more because they're Manchester United, because there is that so-called tax. But if you're going to be saving 20 million quid, Brentford potentially know that, and it goes a little way to make that deal look a little bit more, can I use the phrase, value for money, when we're talking about tens of millions of pounds?
We're talking about attitudes. You're going to get a brilliant attitude from Brian Mbumo, right? Because him and Vissa took the man up of Ivan Toney, because everybody and Brentford fans thought, we're losing that goal scorer. Them two stepped up, and Mbumo got 20 goals last season playing from sort of the right. The only question I'd have is where he's going to play. Because everybody knows that Amorim loves the 3-4-2-1 system with the 2 10s. So Cunha obviously be one of the 10s. And Mbumo can play as a false 9 and can play as a centre forward, but he's better coming in from the right-hand side, sometimes on the left-hand side. So then you put Fernandes into the equation. So there's no way that if you're going to play Cunha and Mbumo as 2 of the 10s, that Fernandes can play in one of the midfielders, the 2, because he's too lazy and he doesn't track back. And you need legs in there defensively with those 2 players. So it's all very getting Mbumo, and I actually think it's a really good signing. But then the question is, where's he going to play? And then where are your other players? What's Ruben Amorim's sort of vision of his best Manchester United 11?
And we know that he's a very stubborn manager when it comes to tried and tested methods and sticking with the plan.
Well, he's Mike
sort of goes on. Yeah, of course it is.
3-4-2-1. Yeah, and instead of 4-4-2-1. Exactly. That's what I do.
Great reference, Mike Bassett. Perry, thank you very much indeed for the time being. Mbumo, by the way, passing a medical ahead of signing a 5-year deal with the option of the extra year. Remains to be seen whether he'll be accessed at Old Trafford, but I, for one, think he will be. And when the Fantasy Premier League opens, he'll probably be going into my 11, I would think. Let's talk Open now and catch up again with Rupert Bell, who's at Royal Port Rush.
Hold the front page. Scotty Scheffler's just had a double bogey out of nowhere. He found a fairway bunker and then failed to get out, and now he's done something unusual. He's missed a putt from about 15 foot for just a bogey, so he's now slipped back to 15 under. Who's to say we might not have a twist and turn to this 153rd Open here at Royal Port Rush, because Chris Gotterup is storming up the leaderboard to 11 under, so the lead is now just 4. That certainly has been a change in the last 10-15 minutes. Elsewhere, Rory McIlroy, well, he's now just 5 back at 10 under, just missing out on a birdie at his last hole. Matt Fitzpatrick's on that mark as well, and the person who's playing alongside Scotty Scheffler, the Chinese player Hao Tong Lee, is also on that mark at 10 under. So maybe there is a bit of a drama coming on this final day with that double bogey for Scotty Scheffler, as I say, out of almost nowhere, leads just by 4.
The Open Update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Everything for your car, all in one place.
And live commentary continues over on talkSPORT 2 next on the Sunday session.
The winner takes it all. The loser standing small.
ABBA, the winner takes it all. Paul from Oxford, thank you for your suggestion. This relates to Sounds of the Weekend. Donald Trump pocketing a World Club Cup winners' medal from Chelsea, and one wonders when we might see it again in a press conference when he negotiates world peace and everyone's there holding hands, singing Kumbaya and everything else, and we have this iconic moment in front of every newspaper in the world, and around Donald Trump's neck a Club World Cup winners' medal. I can think of worse things. Great PR for Chelsea that would be, wouldn't it?
The thing is, in Donald Trump's head, he's always winning.
Yeah,
isn't he?
No matter what.
No, and you have to say, like, looking from the outside, he has bounce back ability.
Yeah. Like Ian Dowie. Ian Dowie's Palace. Perry Groves, thank you very much indeed for the time being. This is the Sunday session on talkSPORT. If you want to get in touch with us, please do so. 03717 223344. Callers, WhatsAppers, WhatsApp voice noters, or you can text us on 81089. 50p plus normal send charges apply, or you can tweet me at Ben A. Fletcher. Next, it'll be the return of Men in Black.
Sounds of the Weekend on the Sunday session on talkSPORT.
Very good afternoon, that's Ferric Dawn, ex-Gem Cook, back tomorrow. Thank you, Jude Connor, the Plymouth fan, for that. And this is Jennifer Holliday, and I'm telling you I'm not going.
What a song this is, by the way.
What a tune. And that's the Donald Trump story. Thank you, Pam in London. Sound of the Weekend story number 2, that was Donald Trump pocketing the Club World Cup winners' medal from Chelsea. And number 1 is Harry Redknapp heading back into the jungle down under, back tomorrow. And he's a ratings winner, isn't he?
Do you mind, you don't interrupt Jennifer.
Oh, my apologies. And she's getting into it.
She's going, she's building herself up.
Crash the vocal.
Go on, Jennifer. There we go. Oh, she's gone low.
Gone low that time.
Got me timing wrong.
The wrong bit. The wrong 8 bar, if we can call it that. Keep your suggestions for Sounds of the Weekend coming in. 81089 on the text. 03717 223344 on the WhatsApp or the WhatsApp voice note. Now it's time for this.
It's the MIBs. Here come the MIBs.
When you think of covers historically, and this was Patrice Rushen, wasn't it? Forget-Me-Nots. This is one of the best, I think. The Men in Black theme tune.
Shouldn't have touched Patrice. No
you
way.
Think so?
No.
You're not a fan?
Some things are sacred.
Oh, see, I think this is about as good as it gets. Not better than the originals, make that absolutely clear. But it's a respectable cover. I've heard far worse. You're not convinced,
This
are you?
vehicle is reversing.
Yeah, grimacing as well at me, Perry Groves, Arsenal legend, here on the Sunday session on talkSPORT. So prospective law changes this week on Men in Black. Potentially no more penalty rebounds. Once a penalty is taken, play ends. No follow-ups allowed. Goal or miss, that's it. Mixed views on this, because it comes down to the whole idea of penalty's a penalty. In a shootout, yeah, we've got that already. In open play, the keeper saves it. Why can't you slot one in? We have the argument about the double jeopardy thing. You have a player sent off, then a penalty. You're punishing a team twice. With a penalty, is it the case that once a penalty's been missed, that's it? Or, yeah, the keeper saved it, you can slot home. Think back to the penalty that we spoke about this off air, didn't we? Anthony Knockaert scored for Leicester, didn't score for Leicester, he missed for Leicester against Watford, and Troy Deeney, our very own, went up the other end and got Watford through to the playoff final all those years ago. So you're ruling out moments like that, aren't you?
Well, so that was a result for the defending team that they've missed a penalty. So that is called jeopardy, right? Yeah. Football is all about jeopardy and emotions. This is an absolute nonsense.
You think so?
Because in the stadium, right, when your team's conceded a penalty, have got a penalty, there's always that jeopardy is score, miss, and if the goalkeeper saves it and you get it rebound, it's definitely clear it, right? So when you get a penalty now, the stadium is just going to go
flat, completely
quiet, and then it'll be obviously the home team will be like cheering if they score, but you ain't going to get that jeopardy.
Yeah.
And it's a nonsense. If it ain't broke, don't fit. And their excuse is it's about the encroachment. Coming in to get the rebounds.
The encroachment better then.
Well, you've got VAR, you're getting involved in that, so just do that. I can't see this getting pushed through. No chance. Any football fan would be like, rubbish.
You're just taking away moments, and again, like, we don't need to go into another debate about VAR, but it has taken away so many moments, so many high emotion moments, joy, everything that
pain.
football is. The agony and the ecstasy, and that's a great Maze song, by the way, Joy and Pain. Show Mage a little bit there, maybe. But it just seems weird to me that you'd have a dead ball situation when the ball is not dead. So the keeper saves it, the ball trickles back to the centre forward's foot, then what? The keeper takes the goal kick? It just seems weird to me. I understand it from from the defending team's point of view, but as football's about attacking, football's about scoring goals. And to deny that moment, again, it just feels like, how can we ruin football even more? We've already taken away the moment where a goal is scored. It used to be the case you look for the flag going up. Now you can have a 10-minute wait, so you can have one of the best goals scored of the season disallowed, and there'd be a 9-10 minute wait to see whether or not somebody's shoulder blade is offside. So to that end, I do disagree. It's absolute rubbish.
Yeah, because you said about the joy and the ecstasy, it's unadulterated joy. And now there's going to be a generation of fans. You even see players when they score.
Yeah.
When they score, they look over, they think, oh, am I or not? Oh, the flag's down, but I still don't know. Oh, we'll have to have a check. Then that atmosphere in the stadium completely drops. There'll be a generation of fans who won't lose their whatever when they see a goal scored, because they'll be thinking, oh no, VAR is going to get involved in this. So that's a complete no for me.
And it leads to people like me saying it was much better in my day, which it was to that end, because it was whether or not the flag went up or the referee blew the whistle, you knew immediately whether a goal was scored. Yeah, you may disagree. Yeah, it may be later proven that the goal should have stood, but ultimately it was tied up. The moment was then dealt with, and you move on or you celebrate. Next, Perry, VAR to check second yellow cards. It could soon intervene on second yellows that lead to a red, which is currently not allowed. I am in favour of this because ultimately it is game changing, and I think why not check a second yellow? Because if a player is going to be dismissed and it's a wrong yellow or it's a harsh yellow, you've got to draw the line somewhere.
Yep, I'm all for. I don't like VAR at all. Obviously, I'm a dinosaur because it does suck the joy, but I am for this because it has too much of a bearing on the game just for a yellow card.
Yeah.
And some referees are too quick to get their cards out anyway, because not every foul is a booking. Do you know what I mean? So you can manage game a little bit better. And there was a bit of a tendency last season for the referee to try and let the game flow a little bit more in that first sort of 15-20 minutes and not give out cheap yellow cards. So my advice would be, don't give out cheap yellow cards in the first place, and then put yourself under pressure. But the second yellow has to be a yellow card for you to be sent off. So I haven't got a problem with this one.
You're absolutely right on that. The other one is VAR checking corners. VAR
Rubbish.
could be used.
Don't even read it. Don't even read.
Decisions that lead to goals. I mean, it's just more. It's more tech for the sake of tech and more delays for the sake of delays. We haven't got time to get into it. You'll be pleased to hear. But most of those changes could be introduced by early 2026, with a view to being ready for the 2026 World Cup. Now, let's head back to Royal Portrush and catch up with our golf reporter, the legendary talkSPORT's Rupert Bell.
Well, we're still coming to terms with the fact that Scotty Scheffler's just had a double bogey at the 8th. However, the man can put sort of mistakes behind him because he just plays a most fantastic approach shot into the 9th to about 8 feet. So looks as if he's going to get back one of those drop shots to get back to 16 under par. His closest pursuer is his fellow American Chris Gotterup at 11 under par. Good round of golf once again from the Scottish Open winner. Harris English is at 10, along with Rory McIlroy, Matt Fitzpatrick and Haotong Lee, who's just hit a great shot into the 9th, playing alongside Scheffler, so he could get to 11 under. Elsewhere, well, Tyrrell Hatton is at 8 under. Just can't find the key today to move up the leaderboard. Defending champion Xander Schauffele is at 9 under, along with Wyndham Clark, and Corey Connors is 9 under. He scraped in on level par, 1 over, and I think was first out to go yesterday, but he's now currently tied for 7. But Scotty Scheffler with a chance to extend his lead once again with a birdie chance on 9.
The Open Update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed.
If there is to be any chance of an upset or Scotty Scheffler messing up that lead, you'll hear it live over on talkSPORT 2. Now to head up to the Winter Gardens in Blackpool and catch up on the World Match Play, complete with his Kiss Me Quick hat and stick of rock. Good afternoon, Mark Wilson.
How did you know? I didn't think I was on video. It's been a day of crackers here, guys. Jermaine Wattimena through to the second round. He's just beaten Peter Wright. His first ever win here. He's been here 4 times previously, yet to win a game, but he has won now, Wattimena. Led 6-2. Looked like it was going to be a stroll in the park for him. Got to 8-8. Peter Wright missed 3 darts to go 9-8 in front. Wattimena stepped in and closed it out to lead by 10 legs to 8. On stage now, it's the World Grand Prix winner, Mike De Decker. He's 2-0 up over Dave Chisnell. All the action is live over on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel. It's Chisnell 0, De Decker 2.
Thanks, Mark. Next on the Sunday session. Jay-Z and Alicia Keys, Empire State of Mind. This works for both stories. The Donald Trump taking the women's medal from the Club World Cup, and, of course, Harry Redknapp potentially heading back into the jungle. Thank you to Mitchell, the Brentford fan, for that. 03717 223344. If you want to get in touch with us this afternoon, text us on 81089. 50p plus normal sending charges apply. Next, we'll be crossing to Switzerland to look ahead to the Lionesses' Women's Euro semi-final against Italy on Tuesday night.
Welcome to the melting pot.
Shin pads are a footballer's best friend. Even if players like Jack Grealish do wear such small ones you can barely even see them. But what's the story with shin pads, and are there actually any rules on how big they should be? It all started with cricket, actually. Cricketers had been wearing shin pads since the 1700s. It was thanks to this guy that shin protection made its way over to football. Meet Samuel Widdowson. He was a cricketer and a footballer. He played for Nottingham Forest back in the late 1800s, and he wanted a way to protect his legs from nasty tackles. Naturally, his mind drifted to his other favourite sport, where players had been wearing these pads for a century. Story goes, Widdowson cut up his cricket pads and popped them on before taking to the footy pitch. His Nottingham Forest team then began wearing them from 1887, and the first known use of them in a match was in 1894, in a match between Newcastle and the then Woolwich Arsenal. Eventually, FIFA clocked on that this kind of protection was pretty important for footballers. And so, in 1990, basically 100 years after Widdowson first put them on, shin pads were made compulsory. It became part of Law 4 of IFAB. That's the body responsible for setting the laws of the game internationally. But the law doesn't actually specify anything about measurements of shin pads. It just says they must be made of a suitable material and be of an appropriate size to provide reasonable protection. It's really vague, even though there have been calls for it to be changed. But for now, that's why Grealish and co can still get away with these ones, which are no bigger than a credit card and which seem to offer little to no protection whatsoever.
Good afternoon. It is indeed a Sunday session with me, Ben Fletcher, and Arsenal legend Perry Groves for the next half an hour or so. We've had international texts today, thanks to Michael in Sicily and Dean in Lithuania for getting in touch. How about that? But for now, Coldplay are back at Wembley this summer, and we've got a huge VIP prize up for grabs for one lucky listener. We're giving you the chance to win 6 tickets in a private box, probably for the best, for you and your mates on August the 22nd with full hospitality. Plus, we're chucking in 10 grand spending money, completely tax-free. Here's how you enter. 18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland, for a chance to win. Text the word WIN to 83338 by 4th of August at 11 p.m. and you're in the draws. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or post your name and number to Coldplay Competition, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 7th of August. This is a TalkSPORT limited promotion run on TalkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
I know 2 people won't be entering.
Say again?
I know 2 people won't be entering.
You reckon? Can I just say the one great thing about that story is all the memes that have come as a result of it. People being photographed together that absolutely shouldn't be. Alan Pardew joins us in the studio. Afternoon, Alan. Do you have any idea what we're talking about here?
I do, yes.
No, it is funny, but he's not going to know.
Yeah. What a moment. I mean, it just out of absolutely nothing, by the way, and these 2 people. I say poor people, but, you know, look, you can't be too sympathetic. You've been caught, own up. But
a shock for them, but even bigger shock for their families.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thing is, we're told Mike's always live, camera's always on.
Yeah,
wherever these days, wherever you go,
you've got to be so careful. And no truer than in a football stadium. Alan, you're on at 5 o'clock with the great Sam Allard. I guess you'll be keeping an eye on the golf. You're a big golf fan.
I am a big golf fan.
Is Scottish Sheffield going to bottle it? Do you think? Or
no? But you know, it's incredible. He does that double bogey and then comes straight back with a birdie, which is typical of him. But no, I think it's second place they're playing for, aren't they? Really, I think. Which is a bit of a shame because we wanted, a big finish. You never know.
Weather conditions have helped him on this last day, haven't they? Because that's what you want. Adds to the jeopardy, doesn't it? A bit of rain, bit
all
of
about
wind.
Jeopardy, all about the conditions and the drama. Alan, I'm not normally in on a Sunday, but I'm reliably informed that you are known for your baked goods. Are you at liberty to tell us what you brought with you today?
No, there's no match today, so no, I've sort of calmed it down a little bit. Bought some fruit today just to mix it up.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Keeping it nice and healthy.
Usually we go cakes only, but a bit of fruit.
Got a bit healthy.
Yeah.
So just on pre-season, right? We had a segment in show about pre-season results and, managers and fans. Does it really matter, the results pre-season? So as a manager, did the results matter to you, or is it different circumstances of when you're taking over a new club? Do you know what I mean? Or have you been there before?
Yeah.
There's a bit less pressure. So that it is, and it's different situations, isn't it, for different managers?
Yeah, that's true, it is. But having said that, I always enjoyed pre-season, even though I had some tricky results, because the tricky result is a problem, especially like Newcastle getting beat 4 yesterday. It's not comfortable to cope with that. So yeah, the results are important, but usually, you know, it's a good time. It's a good bonding time. You know, you're trying to get your stuff over to the players, trying to get some kind of mandate in place where you can go to phase A, phase B, phase C. You know, and you can walk them through different things and bring them into the friendlies, see how they work, and do some trialling of set plays and stuff. So I always used to enjoy it, but as you say, different kind of permutations of where you are as a manager. You know, Thomas Frank going into Spurs, I thought that press conference actually the other day was a bit tense, considering, you know, he's only just starting. You know,
already under pressure.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I thought, you know, he would be a little bit more kind of just bat it away a little bit more, but he sort of took it, you know, a little bit more on than I thought. But nevertheless, interesting times. The biggest problem you got as a manager in pre-season is unsettled players who are in the pub, you know, in the agents are putting the name in for clubs, for other clubs, and they're talking about leaving. You've got players who are coming to the football club you've never heard of, etc., etc. We'll be touching on that a little bit when I'm on later.
Well, what's that? Alexander Isak looks like he's staying put now. Certainly not going to Liverpool. And put yourself in
some theories on that.
Oh, have you?
There's a long way still to go.
There is, isn't there? August the 31st versus September.
Well, we said earlier, obviously, them getting beat 4 by Celtic, and Eddie Howe saying that he wasn't going to play, so he didn't want to throw around him because if he's in the stadium. But that's just fueled the fire of all the conspiracy stories.
Well, also, you know, from my history, Liverpool took Andy Carroll off me in the last day of the window, unexpectedly, for 35 million, which at that time would be sort of like 150 million now. So I'll be talking about that a little bit. So if there are Newcastle fans out there, probably Lewis lifting in, because there's a little bit of history involved and a little bit of where you are right now.
Interesting stuff. Alan Pardew, thank you for joining us. Back with us on talkSPORT at 5 o'clock alongside Sam Ellard. Time now to get an update on the football with McDonald's.
UEFA Women's Euro 2025 update on talkSPORT with McDonald's. The new Big Arch has landed at McDonald's with its very own signature sauce. Available from 11 a.m. at participating restaurants.
And I'm delighted to welcome back to the programme Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, who was chatting to us earlier on. Exclusively, we've been chatting with Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, and she's been speaking exclusively with England defender Alex Greenwood about Jess Carter after she revealed that she's been receiving racist abuse on social media and is coming off all platforms.
I think, first of all, showing support to Jess. I think our statement is as clear as it's going to be. We just don't stand for that. It's something that we don't think's right as a team. We've made so much progression and been able to make so much change, and we hope that making this statement as powerfully as we can, that brings more change and more people listening to know that this is just unacceptable. Yeah, I think I would say so. I think it's maybe a feeling it's lost its power. It was something that we thought about yesterday, we spoke about as a team. Again, it's something that we agreed to do, and we think it sends out a message that it's no longer delivering the message that we would like it to receive. So we've agreed not to take the knee from this game and for the future until something changes.
That was England defender Alex Greenwood speaking with our very own Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, who I'm delighted to welcome back to the Sunday session here on talkSPORT. Courtney, great chat with Alex Greenwood, and it seems like the whole England team, the whole of the country, the whole of the FA, and all of the Lionesses are united behind their player, so they should be.
Yeah, definitely, and it's, you know, not just England as well. I think Gotham City, Jess is a domestic club out in America in the NWSL. They've also obviously come out support, but you know, we know this in terms of football. Yes, you know, it's worldwide, but it's also a really small family, the football family. So yeah, everyone's coming out, rightly so, of support of Jess. And yeah, it's been a weird one, you know, around the England base camp today, because it's been a tough one, not just obviously for Jess, but for the players and also for the staff, because these, you know, the players and staff, they form such close bonds, and I think it's sort of important to mention as well that everyone is very much feeling it with Jess, but the fact that, you know, they are together supporting Jess, that's the most important thing.
It is, absolutely, and whilst you hope that the people involved get justice coming their way, and I certainly hope that they do, there is a game of football to be played on Tuesday night, and if the Lionesses needed galvanising, well, it looks like they've got themselves a cause to face Italy.
Yeah, of course, and I think this is something that you never want to happen. You want everyone to, obviously, as you say, face justice and face consequences for what's happened. But as you say, this team, it's very together. They support each other extremely well, and there's no doubt that, you know, come the semi-final against Italy, they will have pulled together. But I think they didn't necessarily, you know, need that galvanising. Maybe on the performances, yes, but in terms of the way that this team are together, the way that, you know, you saw it in the fight back against Sweden. You can't get that from a team that aren't together and pushing in the same direction. So I think they're very much just now, obviously, trying to support Jess, but there's no doubt as well the focus is on Italy and winning that semi-final. And it's something that I said to Alex as well, because I think after the quarter-final everyone was like, well, if England win this, then there's no doubt they'll get through to the final. I think there are a lot of people on the outside are writing Italy off, but that's certainly nothing that's happening in camp. They're taking this game very seriously, the Lionesses.
Courtney, on the playing side, obviously we've had Carter and Greenwood there. You just did the interview, and obviously Jess, you know, the victim of that vile abuse on social media. But football-wise, down the left-hand side against Sweden, England really struggled, especially with the pace of Blackstone. So can you see Sarina Wiegman making any changes?
Yeah, potentially, and I think the one thing to think about as well is Leah Williamson, how fit she is. She obviously came off with an injury against Sweden. She was sort of limping quite heavily around the flash zone after the game, so she didn't look comfortable at all. So it's good that we've, you know, got quite a few days in between those games to get her to full fitness. But I think, yeah, in terms of, we've seen it both in the Sweden game and the France game. I think in general with our backline pace is something that we lack a little bit, and teams have recognised that. So it's interesting whether they'll change it. I personally don't think that probably Sarina will change it too much, because this is what we've seen from Sarina Wiegman. She doesn't like to make wholesale changes. She likes that consistency, but there's times when we've been chasing the game where we've gone through it at the back, and I think that suited us. So I think that is an option, but in my heart of hearts, do I think Sarina Wiegman's going to change it? Probably not.
And I guess from a mentality point of view, Courtney, it's not to underestimate Italy. They did very well against Norway. I watched that game. A lot of pace, a lot of uber attack late on. I think if I was playing Football Manager, I'd call it all-out attack mode, and they just stunned the Norwegians in the end. So the important message for the Lionesses is, yes, you're defending champions. Yes, many people expect you to get to the final, but you're a long way from it.
Yeah, of course, and I think if we're being honest, look, it was two good performances against the Netherlands and Wales, but equally quite poor opposition, in my opinion. The Netherlands were nowhere near their potential. Wales, you know, first major tournament in terms of where they are in the FIFA rankings, and, you know, it sort of started off with that giving away that penalty quite early on, and it was always downhill from there for Wales. But I think when we've come up against better opposition, against France and Sweden, you know, we have struggled. You can't come away from that. So you've got to take Italy seriously, as you mentioned. They love to attack. They've got pace in forward areas. Girelli as well is a player that's performing extremely well. So there's no doubt in my mind, if the Lionesses don't come into this performing well, then, you know, we can forget about the final. They have to put in a performance to beat a very good Italy side that are full of confidence at the moment.
Well, let's hope that the messages we've had from camp this week, that they will be learning lessons and coming better out the blocks than they did against the Swedes, will be taken firmly on board. Thank you very much indeed, talkSPORT's Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. And for those who are watching on the talkSPORT YouTube channel, by the way, stood on a lovely balcony with some greenery behind her. It's either a really plush hotel or it's the Velociraptor pen at Jurassic Park. If it is the latter, don't put your arm in too far, Courtney. I'd hate for it to be snapped off. Thank you for joining us, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, on talkSPORT. You can hear live commentary on the Women's Euro 2025 semi-final, England-Italy. It will be presented by my old pal Adrian Durham. Commentary comes from Joe Excelsior Shannon and former England striker Tash Dowie. That was thanks to McDonald's.
UEFA Women's Euro 2025 update on talkSPORT with McDonald's. The new Big Arch has landed at McDonald's with its very own signature sauce. Available from 11 a.m. at participating restaurants.
Straight back to Royal Portrush, where the last time we caught up with talkSPORT's Rupert Bell, suggestions of a bit of a wobble at the summit. Is that still the case, Rupert?
Forget that. He's looking rock solid. After a double bogey at the 8th hole, when he failed to get out of a fairway bunker and then missed a putt for a bogey, well, he then goes and birdies the 9th with a fabulous approach shot to no more than 9 feet. And then in the 10th hole, he did have another birdie opportunity, but he actually has missed that 9-foot putt for a birdie to get to 17 under. But he's staying at 16 under, but he's now 6 clear of the chasing pack, because Chris Gotterup has just had a bogey bogey at the difficult 11th. Matt Fitzpatrick is at 10 under. Hao Tong Lee is also at 10 under. But Rory McIlroy has just had a nasty double bogey, that coming at the 10th when he failed to get onto the green, failed to save par. So his chance now, I'm afraid, has evaporated because he is at 8 under and he's playing the 11th, which he's not playing particularly well either. So it appears maybe some of the fight has gone out of Rory McIlroy's challenge here at Royal Portrush. But Scotty Scheffler keeping composed after a setback, business as usual. Let's just fire in another birdie. So Scotty Scheffler in the control at 6 shots clear with 8 holes to play.
The Open Update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Build your own car deal, all with a few clicks.
Thank you, Rupert. Live commentary continues over on talkSPORT 2 from Royal Portrush. Now, it's from the glamour of Royal Portrush to the glamour of Blackpool and the World Match Play Darts. Good afternoon, Mark Wilson.
Good afternoon. Final game of the afternoon session sees Dave Chisnell taking on the World Grand Prix champion Mike De Decker. They shared the opening 8 legs. It is a race to 10 for a place in round 2. It's 4-4 here. Chisnell missing quite a few doubles, but he's managed to claw back after falling behind early on. It's live over on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel right now. It's Chisnell 4, De Decker 4.
Thank you, Mark. Next on the Sunday session.
It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA.
No, I'm not going to do the dance. I'll let Perry Groves do it for me. He's done it. He's done it. That was Manny from Bradford, Village People YMCA. That was Sounds of the Weekend, a Donald Trump story. Of course, after pocketing a Club World Cup medal from the Chelsea camp. And this was, of course, the theme song to him being elected president. But I remember it from before that, when he was his last day of being president in 2020. They played it, and it was a really weird environment, because obviously he and his supporters were very, very sad that he was no longer in the White House. And then they randomly played this. And it was like, oh, that's a bit of a weird vibe. Like, you complained about Joe Biden, you complained about this, complained about that, you're out the White House, and then this song came on. It was like, what? Have they played the wrong thing? Talk about galvanising your supporters. But clearly it worked.
It was an acid trip. So you think, a little bit weird.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very odd. So that was Sounds of the Weekend on the Sunday session. That is what you're listening to for about another 10 minutes here on talkSPORT. Very good afternoon. This is the Sunday session for about another 4 minutes, believe it or not. And then it'll be Sam Allard and former Newcastle and Crystal Palace manager Alan Pardew. At 8 tonight on talkSPORT, you can hear the next episode of After the Lights Go Out, the series which focuses on the struggles of former professional athletes following retirement, with this episode featuring former England and Warwickshire cricketer Dermot Reeve. And here on the talkSPORT network, we've been paying tribute to our friend, our colleague, the legend, the icon, the voice of golf, that was Bob Bubka, who we sadly lost in the early hours of this morning at the age of 83. Rupert Bell's been watching the Open for us. He's over in Royal Portrush, and Paul Hawksby joined us at the very top of the show. Rupert, he said that he called you to The Odd Couple, a great double act, and just your memories of Bob, a great friend, a great professional.
Well, it would be just loving being here, watching his fellow American Scotty Scheffler producing a tiger-like performance. He loved the history of the game. He just was a larger-than-life character on and off the course, as it were. That voice just was as hypnotic a voice as you're ever likely to hear, that drew you in, and you just wanted to know about the sport of golf when he was talking about it. And he brought a joie de vivre as only he could, and you know, he was passionate about the game. It was his life. He was still interested and still actually contributing to us here at talkSPORT back at the US Masters, but his health started to deteriorate a bit more rapidly after that, and I know that by his side was his ever loyal Janice, who was obviously often our producer out here, who would be carting suitcases of kit around to make sure that Bob could get on air. He had no idea what he was doing technically, not a clue. So poor old Janice was having to help him all the time, but once you gave him a microphone in hand, it was just a joy to listen to him and be part of him. He'd take the mickey out of me unmercifully. But heck, I don't mind that, because I didn't mind it. He just wanted to enjoy broadcasting with him. And luckily enough, I did it for... We joined talkSPORT in terms of golf coverage at the same time at the St Andrews Open, which there might be a bit of symmetry to that, because that was the time that Tiger Woods won by 8 shots, the sort of modern day record for a winning margin in the Open. And who's to say that Scotty Scheffler won't do exactly the same here this afternoon? But I know I will miss him hugely from just being around him and defining my time with talkSPORT covering golf. Ryder Cups, Opens, you name it. He brought something unique to it. But my goodness me, his eating habits, I won't miss.
Rupert, thank you for that lovely tribute. Echo all of your words. An absolute legend. He'll be remembered forever, certainly across the world of live sport and broadcasting, and indeed by his talkSPORT family. If I could quickly trouble you for an update from Royal Portrush, please.
Well, Scotty Scheffler is sitting at 6 clear. Rory McIlroy's chances have gone with that double bogey at 10. He's just parred the 11th, which is a difficult hole. Scotty Scheffler is on the 11th at the moment at 16 under par. Haotong Li making a good effort here to just try and keep Scheffler in his sights. He's at 10 under. Matt Fitzpatrick, he's the best placed British player at 10 under par. Wyndham Clark, who had his problems at Oakmont recently when he absolutely destroyed a locker there and has been banned from attending that course, but he is at 10 under par. Xander Schauffele, the defending champion, birdied the 12th at 10 under par. Haotong Li has just birdied the 11th to make sure he's just 5 behind our leader Scotty Scheffler. It's a joy to watch Scheffler play in this kind of form.
Live commentary continues over on talkSPORT 2. That is it. That was the Sunday session on talkSPORT, my daytime debut. Perry, thank you for being alongside me this afternoon. Arsenal legend Perry Groves.
Better in my day, Ben. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Hashtag better in my day, Ben. Thanks to the production team for looking after me. Coming up next is Sam Allard and Alan Pardew. I'll be back reading your sports news tomorrow. Some say that's where I belong, but it's been an absolute blast. Thank you. Keep it talkSPORT.